Okay. Starting now, Elder Lawyer. You put it on mute.
Yes, sir.
All right.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no man can dwell, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. Ahayah's gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us.
At gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Ahayah gather us. Ashar in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. Ahayah's gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians. Ahayah's gathering Israel.
Shalom, shalom. All right, all right, all right.
Ashar in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be, Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. Ahayah's gathering Israel.
That's right, brothers and sisters. The Most High is gathering Israel. I'm Elder Ashar, along with the rest of the elders waiting in the wing here for your weekly blog show with the church. This is the Gathering of Christ Church. I hope you all are doing well. And yes, we will be opening this particular broadcast up early for phone calls. Okay. Now, boy, do we have a discussion for you all today. That's right. Do us a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. I think they're disappearing the dislike. Maybe the media and others are just tired of people just showing how much they are on to the propaganda instead of reporting news, to the degree where they're going to punish the whole YouTube sector by getting rid of the dislike button. I guess they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings if someone is disliked, but I don't think it have anything to do with that. It's clear when people go to mainstream media to get any type of news, it's thumbed down, to a degree that I believe the power structure just doesn't like. Okay. It get thumbs down. Bill Gates pop up, thumbs down. Fauci pops up, thumbs down. Everyone, and no matter who pops up speaking what? That's right. Corporate propaganda. It's shut down by people disliking. So now they're saying, well, we're about to roll out a lot of things people might not like. Okay. So you know what? We're just going to get rid of the dislike button. So it's okay, but who cares? As long as the content is out there, as long as the truth abounds. That's all that matters. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you all for your presence this evening. All praises be to the Most High. Ahayah, Yashaya, where we walk. That's the Most High God. In the name of Christ, through the Holy Spirit, we thank him for allowing us to come before you today, this evening, on this so-called Thanksgiving Eve. All right, let's jump right in. You see the topic of discussion. A racist agenda right on time for Thanksgiving. Now, many people take holidays different ways, right? But one thing I see in particular out here amongst, the regular normal population is that, usually the holiday season brings out the best in people, right? And I'm talking about people that would normally be impatient, angry, or whatever the case is. They're smiling, they're humming their pagan, their pagan jingles, and they're more cordial, respectful, less road rage as far as I could see, right? But it seems like there's serious hypocrisy in the mix of all this also. Because on one hand, we wait for a certain season to actually become nice to people, when really we understand the earth is divided. There's straight racism being stoked through propaganda, through media. And that also shows the hypocrisy of media, okay, of mainstream news. You would have thought us coming into what they would call the holiday season, they would actually show stories to get people more endeared in the spirit of what they call Christmas, right? Family. They hate family, right? Talk about the positives of thanking God for opportunity, for breath, for life, for health. I remember growing up all day long on TV, usually during this time of year, it doesn't matter what the propaganda was, they would give you a little relief from the negative so that even the media was a part of the hysteria, or I would call the deception or the air that all people are equal and all people have one thing in common, that we all love each other as earthlings. The media would actually get into it where it would make you start questioning, like, man, does racism exist? Your boss is nice to you that time of year. You get your bonus checks. Everyone is nice. But here's the hypocrisy of mainstream media. Running into Thanksgiving right on cue. Right on cue. I want y'all to check this out, folks. Right on cue. Let me pull something up for you here. Let me pull something up. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to pull up a web page real quick. Bear with me. Yes, right here. Right on cue, brothers and sisters. Check out your screen. Right on cue, prepping things up for holiday cheer, for Thanksgiving. Come on in. Oh, you see the title. The title is correct. You see it. A racist agenda right on time for Thanksgiving. And wait till you see the spin at the end of all this. Boy, are you in for something this evening. Right on cue, Sunday. And, in total reference of the mystery religion of Mithraism, worshiping the sun god. Right on cue, the main event Sunday leading up to Thanksgiving was the Cowboys against the Chiefs. See, they're not even hiding it in plain. They're hiding it. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They just stoking racial divide and hatred, leading into Christ's prophecy. There shall be nation against nation, race against race. Notice it's being stoked by mainstream corporations, the media. Right on cue on Sunday, leading up to Thanksgiving, when you know the soft story, when the pilgrims came over just looking for a better way of life and embraced the North American Indians in a peaceful meal, thanking God for allowing the white pilgrims who were searching for a better way to make America their home. Right? Sunday, main event was the Cowboys against the Chiefs. See, it's hard to go Cowboy Indians or Redskins anymore now that Washington team is what? It's the Washington football team. It don't have that same edge. So they had to get you stoked with the divide and celebrating, stomping out, kill and destroy the North American Indians, and sneak in a little cowboy and Indian little mantra right there, right up under you, without you even recognizing, going into a time in which we all should be thankful for something. Now, if you think that isn't brazen enough, if that isn't brazen enough, we're living in a time of disease, epidemics, pandemics, and I thought I would pull up politics and history so that no one can think that I'm a conspiracy theorist here, to show you what the lovely pilgrims were able to help the North American Indians, who are from the lost sheep of Israel. Yes, they are. They're from the tribe of Gad here in America. To show you the hospitality, the appreciation for hospitality that was shown to the North American Indians. And this particular piece comes from Just Store Daily, Politics and History. Okay. I'm going to be going into more of some of the Christmassy stuff, showing you Buddha, the Virgin Buddha, and all that. I'm dealing with that in the Academy. I had this also out there for the Academy, but since Thanksgiving will be long gone before we get to Sunday, I wanted to show this. This is a Politics and History. Politics and History. How commonly was smallpox used as a biological weapon? Because maybe this was the first time government sought to disease its, the people, as a form of population control as well as germ warfare. Maybe this was the first time they forgot all about doing stuff like this. Wink, wink. How commonly was smallpox used as a biological weapon? This is how you show your appreciation to the North American Indians. See, we have to be thankful. Once introduced into the Americas, smallpox spread everywhere. Is it possible to know how often that was done intentionally to kill people? So you brothers and sisters, you know that I was going to tie all this in, right? At the same time, the Cowboys are pressing Amari Cooper to get the stuff. Okay. While Aaron Rodgers has went on about his life with no mask, hugging everybody. He's spitting next to everyone. And now the Cowboys is now targeting Amari Cooper for his stance against something that he don't realize how it might affect him negatively down the line. He wants to have children just like Aaron Rodgers. Right? But I digress. Once introduced into the Americas, smallpox spread it everywhere. Is it possible Maybe we don't know exactly how that happened. What we do know for sure is that the North American Indians were not suffering smallpox or any biological disease before Esau came to America. So you have to watch how the news circulation works and how they pose things in a question, really knowing the answer so that they can be absolved from any blame. And that's what it really comes down to, right? But the Most High said in the Bible, their turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Okay? See, a potter can try to shape clay into anything he would like it to be. But guess what? He can try to put water on it to try to keep it slick until he shape it. But when the clay hardens, whatever's the finished product, that clay master and clay shaper, he can't make that into something else. And I'm going to tell you, the clay has hardened. You can't make something that's ugly good, no matter how much PR you put on it. Okay? So what they have shaped is the world we live in today. Okay? Folks, racism, dissension, biowarfare, keep in mind, folks. Keep in mind. Social engineering, it's all social engineering. It's embedded within the fabric of the Edomites' control over the earth. Once introduced into the Americas, smallpox spread everywhere. Is it possible to how often that was done intentionally to kill people? See, if I put a question mark in there, I'm just asking the question. Is it possible that smallpox was made in a laboratory? And somehow, even though they were just testing to see the potency or how virile this disease could be so that they can actually make an antidote for it or whatever the case is in case it leaks out. Okay. So maybe it was like that back then, that they was just testing smallpox in the lab, in their little laboratories, and it crept out by mistake. And through that, the government had to come in and help the North American Indians find a cure. Debates over whether General Jeffrey Amherst ordered his subordinates to infect North American Indians with smallpox in 1763 has long raged. But writes scholar Elizabeth A. Finn, a preoccupation with Amherst has kept us from recognizing that accusations of what we now call biological warfare, the military use of smallpox in particular, arose frequently in 18th century America. Now, here's a question, and elders, I'm going to have you all come in. Has anything really changed? Has anything really changed? So this is the form of being able to displace people by making them weak without any blame, without saying, well, okay, without straight out warfare, physical warfare on people. By the second half of the 18th century, many of the combatants in American wars of empire had the knowledge and technology to attempt biological warfare with smallpox viruses. Finn writes, actual incidents, intentional smallpox infection may have occurred more frequently than scholars have previously acknowledged, because while it was going on, none of the governments of the earth was actually admitting that they were giving diseases to the poor, to displace people, to kill them off, to colonize America. But now, after now, the families and their children have absorbed and have inherited generational wealth. After all of that, now they're willing to go all the way back and admit that the story wasn't exactly how they first presented it to the world. Because why? There's no one to prosecute right now. So usually they admit it after it's too late to do anything about it. And the Bible tells us that there's nothing new under the sun. If they did it then, they're doing it now. And it's upon us to realize when it's being perpetrated on our people. Doesn't matter who's the face of pushing something. Because I'm sure they probably found a North American Indian that they could pay back then to go along with some of this. So it doesn't matter the face they'll push it. They're pushing it. Understand that the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. That which has been will be, and there's nothing new under the sun. If it worked back then, they're going to keep using the same tricks until it no longer works. But unfortunately, we keep falling for the same tricks over and over and over again. A racist agenda right on time for Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, they would have us believe. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm tearing up just looking at the cranberries around the old turkey. You know, I wonder what mashed potatoes, got the rice with the green leaf basil sticking out of it. Boy, I wonder what the History Channel have to say about this. Let's see. History. Maybe they'll tell us about the racial undertones in which Thanksgiving was created out of. Thanksgiving Day is a national holiday in the United States, and Thanksgiving 2021 occurs on Thursday, November 25th in 1621. The Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgivings. Now, even though, folks, there were harvest feasts during the same period of time going on in England. Okay? Same type of harvest feast to certain gods and goddesses at the same time of year, right after so-called Samhain, which is Halloween. They would go into a fall season with the pumpkins and all those things. Same holiday, different name. Now they're just doing it under the American tradition now, but it's nothing but old pagan rituals and rituals of sacrifice, celebrating the destruction and conquest of a people. The Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag shared an autumn harvest that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. For more than 2 centuries. One moment. One moment. One moment. 1 second. Okay, jumping right in. I'm sorry for that. And the Winnipeg shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. For more than 2 centuries, days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by individual colonies and states. It wasn't until 1863, in the midst of the Civil War, that racist, and that's right, satanic racist, Abraham Lincoln, and I'm going to show y'all some of his racist. So I'm going to show y'all some of his racist statements. Okay. I'm going before this broadcast off, remind me of the lawyer so I can pull up some of Abraham's most racist statements. And this is where they're nudging and laughing at black people who are accepting him as some type of savior, when he was a straight pawn. Okay? He was satanic, and he was a straight pawn for them. Okay? And that's why they nudge each other, because we embrace people who are a part of who is really behind the downfall of our people, using a person as a form of symbolism to get us off of being what? More actionary. More understanding that they're going to always put symbolism in front of us to divert us when we're actually gaining ground, when we're looking out to do what's right morally for ourselves. They usually say, okay, politically, we have to make them believe that there's some person, a white savior somewhere, who's willing to extend himself beyond the cost of losing his own people. They did the same thing with JFK, but that's another story. But let me tell you, Abraham Lincoln was evil. Okay? And he was used to divert us at a time in which we shouldn't have listened to them. Now, more than 2 centuries, days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by individual colonies, states. It wasn't until 1863, in the midst of the Civil War, that President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed the national Thanksgiving to be held each November. So really, Thanksgiving was cultivated out of what? Out of racial tensions. But really, there's only one side of any of these conflicts that I'm looking at has something to actually be thankful for. I need y'all to think about that. The North American Indians were slaved. They came to dinner and they was tricked, and the men, women, and children were killed that night. And guess what? The History Channel conveniently leaves that out. Abraham Lincoln was used as a pawn to change the conditions of slavery so that slavery can now be what? Industrialized. From the plantation to eventually slave labor through prisons. That was really Abraham Lincoln's job, to transition things, to make slavery industrialized through the prison complex. But they needed someone to come in and say, well, let's emancipate this. Let me tell you, they wasn't going to tear up anything unless they had a better plan. You're free. Leave the plantations. Because through the corporations now, a corporation is now an entity the same as a person now. We can now own you while free. We don't need plantations. We have corporations. And a corporate entity has the same rights as a person. So they just switched the game. And then they made it and say, well, if you commit a crime, you relinquish your freedom is relinquished. Slavery. But let me move this along because there's so many things that I would like to highlight here today. Right on time for those who missed this. Sunday, the sun god Mithras, which is the mystery religion of the Roman Empire, that they conceal by claiming it's Christianity when their Christianity has nothing to do with Christ's teachings and the disciples' teachings. If you want to know those teachings, it's right here. It's right here what we're teaching. Okay? Right on time, under their Mithraism, Sunday, the worship of the worships of the sun god, the virgin sun child, they've introduced us into Thanksgiving week with a what? Hallmark game, Cowboys against the Chiefs. And then I need y'all to look at it. In the midst of all that, there was a trial going on. Who's still falling for this propaganda? Well, now they made this new judge, and y'all can believe this crap if you want. It's all propaganda. Vanity Fair, CNN, Fox News. They're all playing into this propaganda to continue to stoke racism at a time in which we should all love one another and embrace each other for Thanksgiving in the spirit of solidarity and peace. That's the hypocrisy. Because that's the hypocrisy of the mainstream media, brothers and sisters, because they have the power to not stoke racial divide during this time. They can put anything they want on TV, but then they put this guy there. You know why? Because it's all for show. They ran out of, the gift that kept giving, which is what? Using Donald Trump as the racist prop to stoke negativity or to incinerate black people who don't know any better, who don't really understand what to be upset about. They think we're so little, that our IQ is so little that they can move us strictly off of emotions concerning stories they create. Oh, yeah. We went straight from the virus. Then we jumped into an old story that was happening during the whole Black Lives Matter corporate campaign that I told everyone, don't listen to anything they're talking about. If you believe anything, you'll fall for any of it, you'll fall for all of it. So out of all of that was the Kyle Rittenhouse story. Don't forget, these are canned stories created during the same time that these corporate news circulations were creating stories to stoke the fire of racism so that they can actually divert the population from actually understanding that Joe Biden wasn't even running for president. Okay? I know you probably was diverted, but it was the only person that was out there during the whole campaign, the campaign trail, was Kamala. So they used her as a black woman to distract everyone while this white racist who was known for writing legislation, destructive legislation that imprisoned a whole generation of black men. This guy couldn't put two sentences together, so they knew he couldn't run. So they used a black woman to divert us, George Floyd to try to make it seem as if they cared about black people, at the same time putting the corporate structure in place that would actually control the office that led to everything we see now. Happy Thanksgiving. Here you go. Kyle Rittenhouse. See, after running out of racist collateral, they had to find some people. So they found You got this judge story. Now you got this white guy who came in and said, I was here to protect the stores and I was here to protect the enterprise, or he shot a black man. They could have picked any story they wanted during Thanksgiving. Why this one? Because what they're telling people, folks, over and over and over again through Thanksgiving and others, that the power structure thrives off of what? Division. That's what Thanksgiving was about. Thanksgiving wasn't about Indians and Pilgrims coming together. It was about conquest. And they want to continually remind people who's in charge. So y'all can believe this story if you want. But I told everybody when it was happening, it's a bunch of bogus propaganda. Oh, there he is right here. Newsweek right on cue. Kyle Rittenhouse tells Tucker Carlson. Now, Tucker Carlson, now check out this spin, folks. Tucker Carlson is the conservative pundit, the Republican. Kyle Rittenhouse tells Tucker Carlson he backs Black Lives Matter shooting, and the shooting had nothing to do with race. Now, they don't know how are people going to take this one. That Kyle Rittenhouse, the racist white guy who killed a black man, supports Black Lives Matter. Well, of course, conservatives for the right would support Black Lives Matter because they're in it. They're the other wing of the satanic bird. Black Lives Matter is a destructive organization, Marxist, that was created to do what? To dismantle any similitude of freedom, to take America, and that's on them if they want to do it, to dismantle all of the fibers that are holding America up, which is freedom. Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with black people. It's a Marxist ideology that's meant to bring everyone down to slave level to be ruled by the controlling class. That's why he says, oh yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse supports Black Lives Matter, because for those who can see this is what they're stoking. These canned stories that are created to let everyone know that's right. During the same time as Thanksgiving, we're the same power structure and the evil Satanists who did this to the Indians, and we're the ones that will continue to stoke the fire until who? The people who are half brain dead to some degree, who are out there not understanding what's going on, until somebody take the bait and bite on one of these stories and a real event happens. What they're banking on is people going out rioting and people going out because some people are going to look at these stories and believe that, you know what, this isn't propaganda. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make a statement here. And that's what they're banking on. The satanic numbskulls who are going to look at this and believe what they're telling you. Now, in case you didn't remember, let me refresh your memory, because you only get incinerated by what the media tell you at the present time. But have any of you forgot about this guy? Oh yeah, Grandmaster Jay. If y'all want to believe that's his real name. Grandmaster Jay pleads not guilty in latest case linked to Louisville protests. Oh yeah, y'all know who it is. The not effing around crew. The same people who created Black Lives Matter created this nonsense too. To have organic black people come out of the hood and say, you know what, man, I'm joining NFAC, man. I'm tired of this. Remember this guy? So usually when When their canned stories no longer work, they come up with another one and stoke either side. And what they're doing in a nutshell, folks, is incinerating those who don't know any better. The people who don't have it all together in their minds and don't and can't and cannot see the world like they should view it. Why do you think, even though that whole Rittenhouse trial and all that was going on, that we were talking about something else? What was really going on? Don't forget, Prince Charles told us last week that they got 1,000 different switches, thousands of switches that they can switch at any time. Banking on what? The low level attention people have in the earth right now. Let's go back. And I'm going to show you the spin, Elder Lawyer. Right on time, right on time. A racist agenda right on time for Thanksgiving. Right on time for Thanksgiving. And then let's not talk about Kyle Rittenhouse anymore. Let's spin the story, because I think we done got enough of the black people who don't even know better upset and incinerated with what? With a not guilty verdict. Okay, we got that going. Okay, now what we're gonna do about these white guys over here who believe in the right-wing conservative wing of the bird? Oh, I know. We're gonna say that a black guy got mad and got into a car and swerved through a parade. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, brothers and sisters, how many of y'all gonna go for these bogus ops? These bogus ops. So it's not about the white guy anymore. But didn't I tell you over and over again why, brothers and sisters? The power structure doesn't have to do anything different because it works every time. I told you all 2008, 2009 to not go with this Arab extremist garbage that you're hearing on the television, because you think it's about the Middle East. Anything they put on the books as far as law is concerned usually attack the poor class of that society. That's the real, that's right, bait and switch. And I told everybody, if y'all think it's talking about Arabs, you know how many Arabs and mosques we got up in our neighborhoods, and Assalamu alaikum and prayer rugs? They're in this thing together. But if you allow them to demonize Muslims and call them Muslim extremists and let them put things on the books concerning that, eventually the real religious people who come to the truth of themselves will become the extremists when it's all said and done, because the media have the power to make anyone, dress anyone up and make anyone look good, or it can demonize a group just as well. It can dress up. Now Arabs are not even talked about right now as extremists. That's the power of the media. And I told you, do not go for it. They had the Patriot Act, religious extremists. And I'm like, at the end of the day, they're going to say that the black people in America are the extremists. Because why? The children of Israel has awakened. So right on cue, and thank you, Elder Ramar, for sending this to me. Right on cue, I think we have the real story that they wanted out there through all of the propaganda. Don't even worry about the Kyle Rittenhouse and the judge and all that. That was just the bait. Let me show you the switch. The real objective behind all of this. Look at your screen. Straight lying propaganda, okay? Don't believe the story at all about the guy in a car and went through the parade. If you believe anything, if you believe any of it, you're going to fall for all of it. I choose being free not to believe what they're telling me. You can do whatever you want to do. Because I knew they would go here. Or maybe it's Baghdadi. Maybe it's Bin Laden's cousin at the end of all this. Right on time for Thanksgiving. Let's see who they demonize it. Because don't forget, the same time they were scoping out the land here in America to destroy the North American Indians with smallpox, they were over there in Europe calling the North American Indians savages, claiming that they were scalping and that they were cannibalizing and eating people. The word Indian means savage. So the same time they were scoping out killing the people who welcomed them and was helping them through the winter, they were over in Europe demonizing our people here in America as savage. And our people over here was civilized, more civilized than they were. So here they go again. Right on time, anti-white terrorism. Pedophile black Israelite murders Christians. Right on time. Fair use.
We saw it breaking all over the place yesterday. RedVoiceMedia.com was one of the first outlets to break the news of an intentional act of terrorism that took place on the streets of Waukesha, Wisconsin on Sunday, where Christian families were gathered for a Christmas season celebratory event. During what was planned as a family and friends community-oriented gathering of peace and love, a black man called...
Hey, folks. I'm going to tell y'all right now, and I'm going to help some of you out over there who don't know when there's a psyop out there. Let me tell you, every cell phone that you have in your hand has high-res cameras. Out of thousands of people, notice that usually the footage they get is grainy footage, as if someone rubbed dirt over the camera so that you cannot see clearly what's going on. You never see the same high definition videos that you actually take with your families at gatherings. So notice that it's always grainy footage, and they always have a person who looked like he was just released out of an insane asylum. Like a Manchurian candidate. They usually have these types in the story. But I digress. Let's go. Let's play it all the way out.
I'm sure
Fair
you saw
use.
it breaking all over the place yesterday. RedVoiceMedia.com was one of the first outlets to break the news of an intentional act of terrorism that took place on the streets of Waukesha, Wisconsin on Sunday, where Christian families were gathered for a Christmas season celebratory event. During what was planned as a family and friends community-oriented gathering of peace and love, a black man called Darrell Brooks intentionally ran his SUV into the crowd. Shots were fired. Brooks appears to have been steering the vehicle with intent.
Look how clear that background picture is, folks. With all the technology we have today. You mean to tell me this? It looks like someone filmed this from an old reel camera, black and white, and put color in it, copied it to a VHS tape, and sent it to mainstream media.
To take out as many innocent people as possible. Now, in the short time since the event, Red Voice Media has reported that Brooks has a long criminal history for crimes of violence and that he was actually out on bail for another criminal offense at the time of the mass casualty terror attack at the hands of the extreme.
So you're going to hear criminal and extreme over and over again. This is once how they were demonizing Arabs going into Desert Storm, folks. You're going to keep hearing this over and over again. Now, when you hear criminal, crime, understand what that means to not your liberty. Because this is why they wanted background checks and all these things, gun control. To say that if you are a felon or if you got mental issues, then you cannot exercise your right to defend yourself with what? Constitutional protection. See? So this way, if more criminals are black people, then they're out-armed by every other race of people. See the game? But let's go back.
Radical Brooks. It seems that he posted
Now it's the blacks who are radical. Listen.
bail on the day of the Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty verdict. Edward Saul is a Stu Peters Show investigative reporter. He's been working hard to fight through what seems to be a tight-lipped group of people. The media is overtly lying about what's happened here.
Now, and I'm looking at this guy 15, 20 years ago. He would have been afraid to be out reporting on anything, being that his people were demonized as terrorists.
But no doubt we're going to get to the truth. Edward joins us now. Edward, thank you for your hard work. What have we learned about the degenerate demon who killed these innocent Christians in Wisconsin?
Well, Stu, we know that his name is Darrell Edward Brooks Jr. Now, he's 39 years old. He's lived in multiple states. He actually has 25 different mugshots from those multiple states. Now, he's a career criminal. He had court records dating back to 1999 showing drug possession, obstruction of an officer, battery, bail jumping, 2 counts of a use of a...
And by the way, in case y'all wanted to know, these were the people who say they love black men and they really would like to support George Floyd. Okay? George Floyd. This is how much they love black people.
A dangerous weapon. We might now count that as 3 with use of that vehicle. And felony possession of a firearm back in July of 2020. Now, he has a series of open felonies, which are charges that haven't yet been prosecuted, but again, he's facing. And it was resisting an officer, felony bail jumping, second-degree reckless endangerment, domestic abuse, and disorderly conduct. Now, he posted bail 2 days before the attack on the 21st, that's on November 19th, $1,000.
Now, they read his whole rap sheet, right? Now, could this guy be a criminal? What they need to give us is the information on whether or not he was committed to any mental institutions. See, that's what we need to hear. At any time, was he under doctor's care for psychological issues? And who is that doctor? Could he be triggered to do certain things because he's mental?
Posted. We don't know where that came from. I gave the lawyer a call today, but no response on this yet. But what we know is that on Sunday, at about 4 p.m., this man was found in the vehicle of a red SUV, pulled out by police, no shoes on, and after he had indiscriminately murdered white students.
Oh, yeah. See that? Don't forget, we have to give you the color of the people. A black man, a demon, ran over white people. Now, what they're doing is they're pandering to the substandard mental within our society. A black guy got in the car. Now I can see a guy right now sitting chewing tobacco, sitting there, with a jug of moonshine, saying, "Man, we need to do something about this, Biff."
Christian parade goers. This was a Christmas parade.
A white Christian parade goers.
In a town that is about 90% Caucasian. But the police are telling us right now there's no indication, no early indications there are of terrorism or any racial incentive to this, any racial motivation. We're also being told that there's no reason to believe there's any connection to radicalization, extremism, or to the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict out of Kenosha. Now, what we do know is that his name was released initially by accident by the police over the scanner.
Bro, it's a Jarrell Brooks.
I need y'all to look at, hey folks, I need y'all to look at how grainy this video is again. Look.
White students, white Christian parade goers. This was a Christmas parade in a town that is about 90% Caucasian. But the police are telling us right now there's no indication, no early indications there are of terrorism or any.
Now, mind you, this guy works at the news station, came out of his car, took his truck and drove here in the midst of an area and say, okay, yeah, we can do it right here. Go. This black demon, white Christian, and ain't nothing going on like that in any vicinity of this where this psyop is being recorded.
Racial incentive to this, any racial motivation. We're also being told that there's no reason to believe there's any connection to radicalization, extremism, or to the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict out of Kenosha. Now, what we do know is that his name was released initially by accident by the police over the scanner.
By accident. Look at this.
The Jarrell's Rooks. That rings for anything.
Moving A-frame, I ran that subject.
Now, do y'all actually see anything?
Lost on his ID in the car. He is suspended. Looks like he's at at least $199 on the system.
Hey, folks, y'all got to see how grainy this is. Look how grainy that is. I need y'all to really examine this. It's always this bird's eye view with no one on the ground. And folks, if you ever been on a Hollywood set, if you ever seen how they would take a crowd and make it into something to a degree where you'll see it on TV and be like, oh my God, that can make anything real. Have you seen the war scenes for Game of Thrones? Look how grainy this is.
Lighter skin black males, red locks, red shirts.
Look how grainy that is, folks.
A-frame.
They found the guy
And notice when it goes on impact, it flashes out of the way.
without shoes. Very odd. We were initially hearing that he was fleeing from a knife attack. I don't know that. There's no evidence which shows that. What I do know is that if the spin and the excuse that's being given for this man's heinous crime is that, hey, he couldn't be a mass murderer.
And check out the title of this particular video, folks. Anti-white terrorism. Pedophile black Israelite murders Christians. What? And you know why? Christians have been taking a lot of L's from Israelites for a long period of time because Christians, especially black Christians, have been controlled through Zionism. Zionist handlers been controlling black people, using black churches as a proxy to distort and to destroy our people. That's right, spiritually. So now they've been taking L's. Okay? Christians been taking L's. Israelites been totally dismantling Christian lies. So they are anti-white terrorism. Pedophile black Israelite murders Christians. Yeah, okay.
He was simply fleeing an attempted murder. Okay, not good. This person was clearly a career criminal, but much worse than this. Now, he's also a registered sex offender in Nevada and a self-admitted child sex trafficker and pedophile. Here he is talking about his own crimes.
And then as soon as we fall out, all of a sudden now I'm a pedophile. Let me explain that. 10 years ago, 2006, I caught a case with my oldest daughter's mama. Yes, my baby mama. She's from Oakland. I was busting moves in Nevada. I meet the say she want to get down, so I'm pimping on the I'll take her to Nevada. You know what I'm saying? I get cracked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know the was 16 at the time. She gave a statement to the police and told them, yeah, she was hoeing, that I was pimping, and that she was 16, and that I didn't know that. Okay?
Now, if you were to listen to the propagandists at Media Matters, they will tell you that the exact nature of the crime is not certain. But there you are. That was Darrell Brooks talking about the crime itself. And again, there are law enforcement officials and many media outlets happy to report this, that there's no connection to terrorism. Now, the odd thing about that is that he's a self-described terrorist. Now, this man has he's a rap name. He's got an alias. Math Boy Fly is what he goes by when he's not running children down in a parade. Now, this man actually has a song called Loudmouths, and in it, the loudmouth says he's a terrorist.
That part, niggas talking down, know they scared of us. They in. Couple hundred shots before we hammered up. Heard you talking down, you don't want it, no, you scared of this. We about that action anywhere, yeah, we terrorists.
Bad, bad, bad music. Y'all can't see that this is all scripted. What black person is going to be in the hood talking about they're a terrorist? Let's hear it again. You can't make this up, folks. Now, when you have to go through these low-level bottom basement tactics, they're running out of tactics, folks.
Now, this man actually has a song called Loudmouths, and in it, the loudmouth says he's a terrorist.
That part, niggas talking down, know they scared of us. They in. Couple hundred shots before we hammered up. Heard you talking down, you don't want it, no, you scared of this. We about that action anywhere, yeah, we terrorists. See me riding with me, I'ma slide, ain't terrible. Hope you right with God, cause a casket with you headed for.
Now, there are several Facebook posts under that alias, under Math Boy Fly. Now, the first one was back in June 2020, and he was bragging and even trying to promote knocking white people out, especially the elderly. A real brave man, this one is. He was making a playoff of what was happening last summer, if you'll remember. It was a knockout game happening where both elderly Caucasians, Asians, anyone not black, was being punched out by young black.
Man, they're adding everything in this, folks. They even bringing the Asians. You got the Arab who's reporting, the white man saying that this is a terrorist, who's anchoring the story. Then the Asians who are getting punched out by black people.
Activists, those who are espousing Black Lives Matter, but also those espousing the fist against the skull of those far much wiser than them. Now, the second post of note was this man on the ground, bloodied. He gives a cumulative shrug to this. Clearly, he doesn't care too much about violence. Clearly, he thinks it's an okay thing, maybe a means to an end. Now, on July 5th, he made this Black Lives Matter themed fruit basket. Now, there's no indications that this man has had an active role in, let's say, the Black Panthers or anything like that, but this clearly is an endorsement of Black Lives Matter, which again leaves you to black supremacy, the mindset that because of the color of your skin,
and mind you, folks, black people have nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. Okay, that's an organization that was created under the DNC, the Democrat Party. Okay? Of course, they got the bargain basement type of mentalities that they can pander to have people come out and say, no justice, no peace. I mean, all you got to do is, listen, you can say you're giving out some Starbucks free gift cards, juice and cookies, and you can get about 400 people to hold Black Lives Matter things up with no problem. Because that's how they do. They go around the neighborhood and they'll try to, you want to, come on in, we got a meeting, man, we got a meeting. You want a gift card? You want this? And this is how they was getting people to go out as if there was a grassroots movement in the neighborhood for Black Lives Matter. Okay?
this case being black, that you are destined to rule the world. You're better than all the other races. It's racism, real one, for those propagandists and media who are having a hard time finding this. Now, again, I'm just a lowly investigative journalist with a few resources and a brain. Apparently, the media and the police haven't been able to find a connection, but look what you've already seen. He says he's a terrorist. He clearly...
And this guy looked like he went to the school of Vocab Malone.
Admits to child sex trafficking, but there's much more. Now, this SUV that we saw in the video, it just was playing, you saw going through the crowd, going through bandgoers, going through many onlookers for this parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Now, this same red SUV can be seen in Mr. Darren Block's, basically his rap videos. And this
No, this ain't ludicrous. This is ludicrous. And going over here, we forgot all about Kyle Rittenhouse. You see how they just switched the narrative? Stoking each side of racism. Okay?
This man, he actually was very proud about this. As you see here on screen, this is Daryl Brooks using this vehicle to act as a backdrop as he and his
straight fake
play around with an Uzi and brag about murdering people. Now, I don't pretend to understand this reprobate demonic culture, one that justifies violence because it's for freedom, for protection of one's race. No, it's just race-based terrorism, okay? And the other part to this, too, is that we're not the only ones looking at this. Now, clearly you can find others on our side who are rightly pointing to these connections, but let's look to the other side. Now, Black Lives Matter activist Vaughn L. Myers, he was actually at the scene in Waukesha, and he absolutely believes there's a connection to Kenosha, absolutely believes a connection to the group Black Lives Matter.
They cobbling together a story.
It sounds like the revolution has started.
The revolution has started.
We'll have to wait and see, because they do have somebody in custody. We may have to wait and see what they say about why this happened. But it sounds like possible that the revolution has started in Wisconsin. Starting with the streets.
Now, when you...
What are they trying to engineer, folks? Unfortunately, there'll be one person on either side, be it black or white, who's going to bite on some of these bogus stories and go out and do something stupid.
You see these actions, this mass murder on the streets of America, much like a street that I'm on. Any sane American, you say, that's murder, that's terrorism, that's something that cannot happen here, and we won't let it happen. But for many who've been watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, I've been...
Okay, some of you might ask, well, what is the end game here, folks? Anytime you hear a story where there's an assault weapon, it's a gun control piece. Eventually, they're going to look to confiscate the guns. So they have to put up all these stories with black people involved and white extremists involved on either side so that they can disarm everyone. So anytime you hear these stories, you're going to hear about an assault weapon. You'll know it's a gun control propaganda piece aiming towards disarming people. Okay? That's how it works.
Seeing the scenes outside of the courthouse, this was expected. This is what they were saying outside the courthouse.
So this court, the proceedings.
Now, I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, now these people are real people. See? The only thing they have to do is shake the tree with their bogus stories that will draw the population into their, you got it, narrative. They have to shake the tree with racism so that now they can draw you in to their theater.
Any of y'all think y'all finna go anywhere in this country and be around black people, go where the black people are, or supporters of black people, and think you're the police, you're gonna get up. Like Kyle should have. Like he should have. He should be a victim. It don't matter. I'm telling them, that's what you think they came down here for. This is war. What do you think?
Now, in addition,
this is war. See, they go in these colleges and get these young kids and say all these things. And I'm going to tell you, folks, these are the organic pieces they're looking for. If no one go out and respond to these stories, they'll just try to find something else. I remember when they had this thing where there was black Israelites, as they claim, went into a market, some Hasidic community. And guess what? It didn't get any steam. When they tried to demonize Israelites years ago in 2018, 2019, it didn't get any steam because we all know those stories are bogus. We don't know any people like that. See? So what they'll do is they'll just go on to the next one until they get a story that can actually provoke people into coming out into their theater.
To all the evidence that I've already shown you, and I hope the police would have the foresight to look into this. American people demand it. We're never going to accept this kind of terrorism against children on our streets, whether it be by vehicle or by jab. You also need to look at this connection. This man is a self-described black Israelite.
Oh, here is the real reason for the story, brothers and sisters. This is the real reason for the whole piece. This is what they were looking to do the whole time.
What do you think they came down here for? This is war. What do you think?
Now, in addition to all the evidence that I've already shown you, and I hope the police would have the foresight to look into this. American people demand it. We're never going to accept this kind of terrorism against children on our streets, whether it be by vehicle or by jab. You also need to look at this connection. This man is a self-described black Israelite. Now, what this is a group that believes they are the true Jews. Now, this is his words. This is on November 13, 2015. He posted this poster with text on it that has Adolf Hitler on it that says, Hitler knew who the real Jews were. Now, he said this is the real thing right here. This is research. Clearly, this man has some foreign ideologies. Clearly, this man has some specific motivations. We can't. I can't be stupid enough just to believe what the police have said, that there is no evidence. What have we just shown you? This man's connection to the black Israelites is interesting because, again, if you think back to the Covington boys, the ones that were protesting but then were harassed and defamed and then ultimately became millionaires, Nicholas Sandmann was also getting entails with a black Israelite. They have a record of violence and justifying it on themselves. Clearly, in this case, there's a connection in addition to the mass murder. Now, as of the recording of this report, there are 5 dead, 40 wounded, and 18 children who are fighting for their lives right now. Any sane American who's seen that video of that SUV plowing through the crowd, they're not buying this motive, that this is just a random act. They're not buying this motive that he was fleeing from a knife attack. And why don't you hear it right from someone who's an eyewitness to this mayhem? His name is Thomas Kluge. This man threw his daughter out of the way to save her from this madman. And he absolutely knows that vehicle is coming right for them.
And I noticed him coming through the crowd, and I noticed something was not right. And then I seen kind of like just people flying as I stood up. I'm like, oh no. My daughter stood up. I threw her out of the way. And then I basically.
Hey, folks. And see, that's why. Let me tell you this. And I'm going to bring Elder Lawyer in 1 second. Folks, listen to this. And a matter of fact, I'm recording this in case, for whatever reason, AC, I'm going to need you to save this part of the clip. I need you to save what I'm about to say right now. They're setting the stage for Israelites who are out speaking. They're setting the stage for some people, whether it be people that are paid or whatever the case is, white people that will on the surface be extremist or whatever. They're setting the stage for a provocation where someone comes up harmed or even worse on the street while Israelites are preaching. And why are they doing it this time of year? Because during Christmas time, and I know being on the streets during the Christmas season, That's when everyone is out going shopping into condensed areas. And the majority of people are converted on the streets during the time of Christmas. I know it being out there. I used to have a Christmas tree out there, and I go straight to Jeremiah 10 and say, hey, or if I don't have a tree out there, a small tree to show as a prop, I'll see a brother, or no matter what color you are, you carrying a tree, and I'll ask you, did you know that tree was in the Bible? We used to go into the heavy places of commerce. And during that time, the majority of conversation and back and forth, totally tearing down Christianity, happens. Because there's no Christian out there can refute Jeremiah 10 during Christmas time. You are caught red-handed going against the God of the Bible you claim to serve. So I used to be out the street, just set them right on up. Oh, you believe in Christ? You believe in truth? Huh? Do you believe in truth? Do you believe God is true? Do you believe the Bible is true? Well, yeah. Are you baptized? Yeah. Do you believe that Christ is the truth? Well, why? Why are you disobeying the book you claim to serve? What you mean I'm disobeying? I ain't doing nothing wrong. Look on your truck, sir. That's a tree. I celebrate Christmas in my heart. I know Christ wasn't born on December 25th. No, sir. That's idolatry. Go to Jeremiah 10 and you pull out your Bible and I'll have them read it. I've dealt with pastors like this, Christians like this. It doesn't matter whether or not you are in theologian school, high level, know the Bible, or a beginner. Everyone can read Jeremiah 10 and know it's talking about the Christmas tree. So this is what they're doing, folks. They know because they finally going to allow everybody to go out and celebrate Christmas when they couldn't. They expecting it to be a big turnout. Because last year, no one can do it like they really wanted to. So they're setting the stage because Israelites are going to be in all the high places of commerce. Shopping malls, shopping centers, downtown metropolitans. Every big city throughout the earth will have Israelites out there telling the truth concerning our people being the true people of God and tearing down the lies, which is what? Modern day Christianity. So what they're doing is they're setting the stage for a provocation that will be televised. I'm telling you, they're looking to provoke a serious act on the streets. And on top of that, they'll either do that or they'll have a guy like this with a story attached to it on the streets as if he is an Israelite, and that person is going to do something dangerous. One or two stories is going to happen. AC, make sure you hold this piece, because usually when you put it out there and get before it, they try to restructure it. But I see which way they're going with this, folks. They know that Israelites are going to be everywhere. Christianity, as we know it, has already been destroyed because Israelites are teaching. And they don't like the fact that we're proclaiming to be the Israelites, because we are. We are the Israelites, and they hate it. So they come in with the demonization first, the assassination of character, so that now they can turn the people, the grassroots people, against those who know they're Israel, because this truth is tearing down. And they open up the borders not just for Arabs, folks. I've never seen so many East Indians in our life. Let me tell you, folks, they have pulled out the whole army of pagans to try to put their little this genie back into a bottle. And guess what? It doesn't matter. You can use your East Indians, have as many Asians as you want. the Most High God of Israel is coming to judge all your empires. Everything is about Asian, East Indians, Arabs. Folks, let me tell you, they are lining up the troops because they're losing. And now look at the depths they'll stoop to. Elder Lawyer, I'm gonna give you the floor in a second, but happy Thanksgiving. Here go your happy Thanksgiving right here. Right?
There's a connection in addition to the mass murder. Now, as of the
A racist agenda right on time for
dead,
Thanksgiving.
40 wounded and 18 children who are fighting for their lives right now. Any sane American who's seen that video of that SUV plowing through the crowd, they're not buying this motive that this is just a random act. They're not buying this motive that he was fleeing from a knife attack. And why don't you hear it right from someone who was an eyewitness to this mayhem? His name is Thomas Kluka. This man threw his daughter out of the way to save her from this madman. And he absolutely knows that vehicle is coming right for them.
And I noticed him coming through the crowd, and I noticed something was not right. And then I seen kind of like just
more grainy, ambiguous film that's showing absolutely nothing.
People flying as I stood up. I'm like, oh no. My daughter stood up. I threw her out of the way, and then I basically yelled, get out of the way. And my wife got out of the way, and by the time she did, the car came right past me within at least 2 feet. I could have touched the car going by. If I had to get hit, I had to get hit. You know, it was just making sure they got out of the way. I mean, where we were sitting, and there was a float between us.
I wonder if any drills was going on at the same time.
To come towards us because he wanted to get around the float, and just I don't know if it was to hit as many people as he can, or I don't know what the senseless intention was other than just going the speed that he did.
You heard it from an eyewitness. You heard it from this reporter. You've seen real evidence, real facts. Now it's for you to make up that decision in your mind. What are you going to do when a madman comes to a Christmas parade near you while kids are playing jingle bells? You already know what you're going to do. And Americans need to start standing up for what they believe in. Reporting for the Stu Peters Show, I'm Edward Zell.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and my pillow, but millions.
No, we ain't going there, bro. Sorry, we are not going there. Oh yeah, okay. So now we see what's going on. They're now moving the story from Kyle Rittenhouse to propaganda from a white man supposed to have killed a black person, and they moved the narrative next day that a black Israelite, in response to that, even though there's no evidence to show that, they went straight from one story to the next, from incinerating the black people to the white people, stoking a generated an engineered race war. That's what they're doing. They're playing both sides, moving either side into a cataclysm, using the base, the bottom, folks, of either side. Any black person with any common sense would know not to follow any garbage that's coming from CNN, or anyone with common sense would know that it's straight garbage coming from liberal news. Straight garbage. And that's a black man. I'm going to say it straight out. Any white man with any intelligence would know that the conservative side is only stoking the white side as straight division. If this is the United States of America, as you claim, shouldn't there just be one news reporting news? Why is it so divided on either side? Because this is what keeps the United States the United States. It's united at the top by keeping its citizens divided. Okay? Yeah, that's right. A racist agenda right on time. Right on time, elder lawyer, for Thanksgiving. Right on time for Thanksgiving. Now, I'm going to let you say what you have to say, elder lawyer, but I need you to really give me your opinion, elder lawyer, real quick. Real quick. Let me pull you up here. Real quick. Hold on. Okay, elder lawyer, we have gone from George Floyd to Donald Trump being racist to Grandmaster Jay, the not effing around committee, or whatever he called it, some garbage that was created out of nowhere. We done went from that to, in the midst of all that, the Kyle Rittenhouse story that was created out of all that same political jargon that they were using to incinerate either side, straight garbage. And at the end, elder lawyer, only to settle on a black Israelite as the problem, the terrorist problem that this society needs to fix. It started off, all of this started, elder lawyer, with them claiming that they're backing a black man who was killed unjustly, George Floyd, only to end it with going after black people who claim to be Israelites. What say you?
Well, first and foremost, I want to start this off in response to a quote that was made in the video, or at least one of the clips that were played in the video. Me personally, I think that news report was shoddy work at best, trying to piece something together that's not really there, doesn't really exist. Trying to paint this image that Israelites have a history of violence. Anyone that knows Israelites, and you can go to your extreme, the most extreme of the extreme, any Israelite group that has any sense will tell you that it's not time for any level of taking up arms. It's not time for any level of trying to fight or any level of violence against this current world order. We're not in position to stand against this current world order. We're not in position for, and I'm focusing on a video clip that was played within that video of a brother saying that this may be the start of a revolution. Well, my question is, whose revolution? Well, it's surely not Christ's revolution. How do we know this? Well, when you go to the book of St. John 18:36, it says, Yashaya answered, this is who the world calls Jesus Christ. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight. So the greatest revolutionary, whoever walked the face of the earth, you can take any revolutionary that comes to your mind, and none of them can hold a light to Christ. The greatest revolutionary to ever walk the face of the earth stated that because his kingdom is not of this world, his servants, those who serve him, those who follow his teachings, and those who seek for him at his second coming to Lakia, are not going to fight until his return, are not going to be mobilized until his second coming. So anyone thinking about a revolution, you have to ask yourself, who is behind the revolution? Okay, on what foundation is your revolution being built? I'm going to read a scripture real quick, and I'm going to explain why I'm reading this scripture, because there's some things about this case I want to make sure that are clear. I know some people may believe that in this case, speaking specifically about the Rittenhouse case, the way it's being promoted and the way that it's being spun and the way that many people are receiving it, you would have thought that the victims of the Rittenhouse case were indeed so-called black people. You're going to find out that in this case, there were no black victims in the Rittenhouse case. I'm going to show you who the victims are, and I'm going to show you what has been put out as fact concerning these victims, and why, if you are to start a revolution, or if you're saying that the revolution may have been started based on the act of this guy who claims is an Israelite, which I don't see any connection between him and Israelites, but nonetheless, if you're saying that your revolution is starting as a response to the Rittenhouse case, based on the victims of the Rittenhouse case, and based upon the actions of a guy who they're calling a black Israelite pedophile, I'm telling you that according to Christ, your revolution is built upon a faulty foundation, and therefore, because it's built on a faulty foundation, it's going to crumble. It's going to fall. I'm just going to read this real quick in the book of Matthew chapter 5, or Matthew chapter 7, and then I'll get to the point concerning the case and who the victims were and the actual character of those victims and who they want us to get up in a stir based upon these particular victims, okay? I'm going to read this real quick. Matthew 7:24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon sand. I'm here to tell you that anyone who believes that the revolution is starting based upon this theater called the Rittenhouse case, being inflamed because of the victims of the Rittenhouse case, and therefore committing an act, quote, as the news is stating that this is somehow what this guy did at the parade with the vehicle is somehow in response or in retaliation to the verdict of the Rittenhouse case. If you're trying to develop a revolution off of those grounds, I'm telling you that those are faulty grounds, and your revolution will fall. It will fail. It says here, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. You're going to find out that many people who are being caught up in these narratives and joining organizations, as you brought out, Elder, the NFAC, and all of these so-called militia groups, okay, on either side, whether white or black, both sides, you're going to find out, are going to fall. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed on both sides. And that's just the reality of it, because people are going into battle on faulty purposes at a time when people should be thinking about what can we actually do? What common ground can we find to actually be in a position to help each other with what's coming down the pipe? Because the so-called dark winter that's being discussed, I don't think that there's going to be any level of, and of course, Jake is always going to get the short end of the stick, but with the dark winter that's coming, it's not going to have it's not going to be racially biased as to who is affected with this dark winter. Okay, everyone is going to feel the sting of what's coming with the so-called, what they've been drumming up, this dark winter. So at a time where people should be looking at, instead of getting caught up in the racial arguments, everyone is thinking about, getting caught up in these racial arguments. No one is thinking about what happens when the lights go out. What happens when we cannot access food as easily as we can in this current time? Mm-hmm. What can we do to establish something to help each other in this time, so that at that time, we actually have something that we can actually sustain ourselves in that time to come? Okay. Instead of that, people are getting caught up in these racial arguments. And as the Bible says, those who are thinking that their revolution will be started off of these faulty grounds, great will be the fall of any organization that believes that they're going to springboard a revolution off of these faulty narratives and these theaters that are being crafted through the mainstream media. But let me get this real quick, and this will be my last thing. Okay. This is just an article getting into the actual victims of this shooting. Okay. This is from Law Enforcement Today, but this is, this information has been made known and has been made very clear. It says here, disturbing details emerge on criminal histories of shooting victims in Kenosha. Speaking about the victims of the so-called Rittenhouse event, okay? It says Joseph Rosenbaum, who died after being allegedly shot by Kyle Rittenhouse, 17, on August 25th, appears to have been charged by an Arizona grand jury with 11 counts of child molestation and inappropriate sexual activity around children, including sodomy. So that's one of the so-called victims of the Rittenhouse case. Now, this is a white man. Again, there were no black victims in this case. But the way it's being shaped, many people would believe that this was a case of a white man getting off for shooting a black man. But these are all three victims were white. Okay? And one of them has been declared as a pedophile, okay? Convicted of child molestation. So you mean to tell me that your revolution is going to be springboarded or is going to start based on the death of a pedophile? How foolish is your revolution? Documents obtained by, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but one of the other victims was also accused of repeated counts of domestic violence. So we're looking at this situation and we're asking ourselves, is this the hill that we want to die on? Is this the thing that we want to use as the springboard or the foundation of our revolution? Or are we going to follow the principles of the greatest revolutionary to ever walk the face of the earth? And according to obviously with this church, as Christ said, if you build upon his word, you'll build a strong foundation, which when all the trouble comes, when the dark winter comes, and all of the trials and tribulations that we're going to see, when they come, we will stand strong because we built our foundation, or we built this church upon a rock, upon Christ's foundation, not upon these faulty narratives that are being presented through mainstream media. But with that, I conclude.
Great. I'm going to bring Elder Gabar in one moment. But before I do, let me quote this, Elder Lawyer, because I'm glad you picked up from a quote I wrote down, right? When this liar was actually putting out defamation, using Israelites to springboard, to actually stomp on. These guys straight up lied. But and don't forget, they're putting this stuff on public record, which is dangerous.
Right.
He said, Israelites have a history of violence. What history do Israelites have of violence? I'm going to show you how hypocritical and wicked this is during this time of Thanksgiving. The day you are about to celebrate tomorrow. Can you think of any more violent acts against a people than what happened to the North American Indians? And these people come over here, offer the and obtain freedoms to demonize the people who built this country. To only think they have the moral high ground to actually fix their mouth to call us anything. That's how proud these people have become. I remember they used to just have their little store, their little mods, and stayed quiet, realizing that, listen, you don't have a dog in a fight, and this ain't a fight you want to try to attempt to get in. But it seems like, Elder Lawyer, we have fallen to such depths that anybody can come out. You can have an Arab take a towel off his head and begin to join into the narrative to stomp on us too. So now they can be out brazenly lying, talking about Israelites have a history of violence. Let me tell you, they wish they can get stories of Israelites utilizing violence. That would be a pipe dream for this country. It's to the degree where they have to fabricate stories of violence and cobble little stories together, or sideways use a tweet or what someone liked on Facebook to claim that they are associated with an Israelite group. They have to cobble and create stories like this. And come to find out, Elder Lawyer, this guy might be this Edward Swall. I think AC just sent me some background on this on this lion demon. Right? For those who missed this, listen to the rhetoric with this guy.
Here, and we won't let it happen. But for many who've been watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and been seeing the scenes outside of the courthouse, this was expected. This is what they were saying outside the courthouse.
So this court, the proceedings. If any of y'all think y'all finna go anywhere in this country and be around black people, go where the black people are, or supporters of black people, and think you're the police, you're gonna get up. Like Kyle should have. Like he should have. He should be a victim. It don't matter. I'm telling them, that's what you think they came down here for. This is war. What do you think?
Now, in addition to all the evidence that I've already shown you, and I hope the police would have the foresight to look into this, American people demand it. We're never going to accept this kind of terrorism against children on our streets, whether it be by vehicle or by jab. You also need to look at this connection. This man is a self-described black Israelite. Now, what this is a group that believes they are the true Jews.
You see this? Can you get more demonizing than this hit piece? They got pedophilia, violence, terrorism. It's as if they all came together and say, you know what, let's put it all together in one piece. And then once we set it up, we're going to tie it up with a bow to say Israelites are behind all of this. They got in the car, drove into white people. They're after white Christians. Who is this guy, pray tell? Well, Elder Lawyer, it so happens that AC sent this guy's background. Who is this guy, Edward Zoll? One might ask. Check this out, folks. And thank you for finding this real time for me, AC. Who is this guy? Look at this. Edward Zoll is known for his work on the Stu Peters show, right? He have an IMDb. He have an IMBD profile. So let's get his IMBD profile. Thank you, AC. Let's get this guy's profile, if we may, excuse me. Get me their mouth was smoother than their mouth was smoother than oil, Elder Lawyer. I need that real quick. See, you got to watch these guys. You have to watch these guys. He have an IMBD account. Hey, folks, if someone has an IMBD account, they're actors. They are actors. You ever hear the term crisis actors? There you go. The Stu Peters show. That guy, brothers and sisters, has an IMBD account as an actor. He was paid to say this as an actor. He's not a reputable reporter. He was paid to create these canned lies and to demonize Israelites as pedophiles and all of that, folks. Who's behind this? Who is behind this? You know what? Elder Lawyer, I don't know about you, but I think I smell the stench of the synagogue of Satan. There's something about the stench of the synagogue of Satan I feel is behind this. Now, Elder Lawyer, this is why when these news cycles of propaganda come out, I make a decree and we speak amongst elders and I say, listen, if you are part of our church and you got a Black Lives Matter march, you have a court, you got something going on at the border, we are not to participate in any of it. And Elder Lawyer, you can confirm that, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the reason why, Elder Lawyer, is because it's against scripture to participate in it. Proverbs 6:18. Let me read it. Let me read it. It says, let me start here. Proverbs 9:14. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord. Who that sounds like? The devil. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. These 6 things, Proverbs 6:16, these 6 things the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. Listen. 17, a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, and feet that be swift in running to mischief. So when you hear about a story that they're trying to drum up some type of emotional provocation, we're not supposed to have feet swift to run into the mischief. It's a trap. It's a trap. This is how they cobble together stories to demonize people. And if you don't go into the crowd, these so-called group think tank leaders cannot use you as a photo op. And this is why I tell brothers and sisters, all of these stories, there's a purpose behind these stories that will end up attacking our people. Do not go out there. Okay? They don't care about George Floyd. They don't care about black people. It's a story they're going to use to be able to destroy thousands and thousands of black men. Oh, thank you. Understand what's going on. So you got these other people who will go to the border, go to the court, and listen, they can do what they want to do. But guess what? When one of your guys who's not wound too tight end up doing something, they're going to demonize everyone. And that's why the Bible says a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and run into mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. We have to be careful, folks, right now. The power structure has a designated focus on the rise, which is organically happening amongst the children of Israel. They are lying when they say Israelites have a history of violence. Right? I'm going to bring Elder Gabar in for a second. That's a lie. What they're not telling you. Every week on my broadcast, there's grandmothers calling in. who know they're Israelites, who are thanking us for bringing this truth and it's helping their children see straight in a debaucherous society. Their children and grandchildren are now looking to follow the law only to become better people. We have grandmothers, grandfathers, we have pastors who know they're Israelites. So that's disingenuous to try to label Israelites as people who had history of violence when there is no history of violence. That's a lie. We have young ladies who call in every week, who singing the praise to the Most High and thanking the Most High for an opportunity to embrace a truth they wish their grandmothers had, their parents had. But they're trying to demonize this as some type of KKK, which is totally, utterly ridiculous. Israelites isn't a group. It isn't a religious group. Israelites are a people according to bloodline. They're the people of the Bible. That's who we are. That's who we are. Okay? So they're trying to make it, they're trying to bring this great awakening from the heavens and minimize it to the level of KKK hate groups. And guess what? We're not biting. We're not dealing with it. So this is why I get in front of these stories, brothers and sisters, because I know which way they're going with them. So that you don't get involved and become triggered into going out there doing something to only become an actor within their theater. Elder Lawyer, let's get that scripture I said in Psalms, and then I'll bring in Elder Gabar, and then we'll open up the calls.
Yes, sir. Psalms 55, verse number 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
Read that again.
He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
He hath put forth his hands with those who was at peace with him, like the North American Indians. The North American Indians embraced the Europeans coming into this country, only to end up being attacked by a bioweapon, smallpox. Until this day, they're using the same bioweapons on our people. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
Come on.
He hath broken his covenant.
He hath broken every agreement. Read.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Exactly. They'll lie with a straight face. You see the devils we just showed you. Their mouths were smoother. Their words were smoother than butter. Read.
But war was in his heart.
So when you see hit pieces like this come out, brothers and sisters, understand that demonizing comes before what? Destroying. Okay? You have to set the social climate to have black men in particular viewed as dangerous. You have to set the social climate first to demonize so that there's no pushback when the powers that be begin to engage what? Their target. They're putting out hit pieces the same way before what happened over in Iraq when they was talking about yellow cake and weapons of mass destruction. They was just words, folks, at first. But they was setting the social climate for what? A military invasion to engage those they've just got finished demonizing. So understand how the media work. This is how they say out front who they'll be attacking, who they're going after. Why? Because it's Israelites that's tearing down the stronghold of the Babylonian religions that have a stronghold on our people. Once we free our people's minds from the religious strongholds, folks, we're one step closer to real freedom. This is why they opened the floodgates of immigrants. It wasn't just about finances. It's about bringing their religions, yoga and Christianity, Krishna, Buddha. It was about doing what? You got it, folks. Destroying our people by dividing us through religion. So now if we know we're Israel, guess what? All of those religions that once have a stronghold, now they're backpedaling now. They're losing their power. They're losing their life force. The power we've given them through our prayer now goes to the God of Israel. They're losing. And Satan is saying, we need to stop this truth. We need to stop them. We're losing the people. They're freeing the people with truth, like that other man. Like that other man, like that Christ. They're liberating the people. Once you know the truth of being Israel, you can't be a Buddhist. You can't be a Muslim. You can't be a pagan Christian. And see, the synagogue of Satan is the puppet master that controls us through the religious beliefs, because they're at the pinnacle. They're at the peak. They're the sorcerers. They're the Wizard of Oz. So now they're demonizing us with some people we don't even know. This guy ain't no Israelite. Look up crisis actors if you want, brothers and sisters. If they can't find an organic person to use, they'll create one. They'll create an enemy. Put them in front of you, have it all out there and have the news talk about it. Oh, he ran over white Christians. Oh my God. And he was an Israelite. And now every brother that's on the corner who has nothing to do with these made up stories have to now wonder how that will impact them. With some white guy walking down the street who might believe some of these lying stories. Elder Lawyer, do you have anything else to say before I bring in Elder Gabar?
Yes, sir. Just real quick. I think that was a key point that you made, that the way that Christians are trying to demonize Israelites and put the stigma of violence on Israelites. At the same time, Christians all over the world are going to be celebrating Thanksgiving, which is a celebration of violence. Israelites have not done half of, not even an ilk of what has been committed by those who, under the celebration of Thanksgiving, the atrocities that were committed against the North American Indians. So we have to look at the hypocrisy that comes with that, and how people are misusing and pretty much just plastering lies upon Israelites. And as I mentioned, even the most, and we can't speak for every single Israelite, but the Israelites that we see that are, that are present out there, that you may see on the streets, so on and so forth, the most you're going to get is abrasive language. You're not going to get guys out there trying to advocate or even trying to engage in violence. You may have a few, nut jobs here and there, but for the most part, Israelites are not seeking to engage in any type of violence. Yeah.
And then listen, even though we don't agree on ideology, and guess what? There was no agreement on ideology or beliefs when it came to those who were Israelites during crisis time. Right? But I can say for sure, with the people that I've met and have known throughout the awakening, outside of the little canned small people who really not, but I can tell you, whether it be Yohana of Israeli Church of UPK or School of UPK, there's nothing that Yohana would ever teach that would lead to somebody under him actually executing violence on people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not because that means I knew him coming up in this work. He was a key man at the time in which I was a young man growing in this truth. And I know him enough to know that he has enough wisdom not to teach people that's under him to execute any level of violence. You'll never see that. The same thing with Nathaniel from IUIC. Okay. And even Tahar from Great Millstone. Even though I don't believe in a lot of things, he can be a little out there when it comes to he's with some of what he brings forth as far as not holding his tongue and saying exactly how we feel. But I know for sure he would never allow people amongst him to even think of using violence. Okay. So this is how I know a lot of these particular stories are canned and they're made up, folks. But it doesn't change the fact that people who see these particular videos, Elder, are going to believe everything they're hearing. And that's the dangerous piece in this. That's the dangerous piece. That people are listening to it. They're not filtering. They haven't grown up and knew these brothers and all that personally to know, okay, you can say what you want, but this man would never say anything or do anything like that. Okay. That's why that thing that happened over there in London or in England when they lost a sister over there, whatever, that it didn't gain any traction like the media wanted it to. Okay, because because they act like people don't die under mysterious circumstances unless you are Israelite. Like when someone died as a Christian, no one out there is questioning whether or not them being a Christian led to their death. Only Israelites have to deal with that. When someone Jewish dies, under mysterious, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the unsolved cases in that area, in that community or whatever. No one is looking at someone going missing or dying in that community and saying it's because they practice Judaism. It's only if something happens negative as an Israelite, them being an Israelite is the reason it happened. Straight bogus. So that's why we have to get in front of this, knowing the tactics of the devil. Positive is going to happen no matter what you believe, and negative is going to happen. They're just waiting for the right thing that they can use amongst Israelites to say, you see that? But I'll tell you what, it would pale in comparison to your government created Jim Jones. There was no government anywhere trying to stop this white man from recruiting black people into some love satanic religious fest over into Guyana, where this dude was a straight satanic freak. First ministry was from the Catholic Church, was from a step in Guyana. That's right. From the Catholic Church's step was his first sermon by the name of Jim Jones. And no one at any time knowing that this dude was a straight dope fiend. There was no government intervention trying to demonize this man at all. And at the end of it, he made all these black people in particular drink the Kool-Aid. So if y'all didn't try to get in front of that, give me a break, man. Come to find out, he had all types of ties within government and all that old stuff. When you do the research on this, nobody can do what he did without some political help. He knew people in political positions, senators, all of that was traveling back and forth into Guyana when you look into the story. So we have to get in front of this, because this is what they'll do, folks. They'll put these stories out to see if it'll gain any traction. And if we don't get in front of it, guess what? You know what'll happen, right? They'll start compiling it on and create and create a narrative. Create a narrative that will actually stick if we allow it. Hold on, Elder Lawyer. Let me grab in Elder Gabar real quick, okay?
Yes, sir.
A matter of fact, I'm not going to hang up. Excuse me. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring him in with you. And then subsequent to that, I'll open up the lines for the brothers and sisters. We still have some time. So I'll give it like 10, 15 minutes with Elder Gabar. Then I'll open up the lines for you all so that y'all can let us know. Folks, if all of this race baiting, this divide and conquer, it's right on time for Thanksgiving, isn't it? Right on time for Thanksgiving. Right? And you know they had to kick it off. They had to kick it off this Sunday with the Cowboys and Indians. The Cowboys and the Chiefs set the stage for the racial divide they celebrate every Thanksgiving. All right, let me bring in Elder Gabar. One second. Elder Gabar, I'm waiting on you.
Shalom, Elder. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. You're fine. And thank you for helping me out today. I really appreciate it. Where's your video? Can you put your video in?
Okay. That was
yeah, just hit your camera.
Close window. Okay.
You could tell elders, you can tell they sat in some type of editor's room and cobbled together that bogus story. Yeah, what else can we throw in there? Pedophilia. Oh, what else you got? We got to have some pedophilia up in there. All right, what else we got? They probably told him, man, listen, this is going to be your masterpiece, Denzel. You gotta act real black on this one. Okay, Master J didn't do good enough, brother. This can be your cameo. Got him looking like Ludacris. I'm like, man, you can't make this stuff up. Hold on a second. Let me bring you in. All right, let me bring you in. I'll minimize mine, Elder. And yeah, there you go. Elder Gabar. And I got Elder Lawyer here. So I'll minimize myself and I'll decrease so you can increase. How about that, huh?
Oh, praise you. Thank you, Elder.
No problem. All right, Elder. What you got, Elder Gabar?
Well, I want to hear people's opinion. So I want to, want the calls to come in. So I don't want to take too much time. There's a scripture that comes to mind, that a lot of these brothers, these Israelite brothers, don't focus on, is that our commander-in-chief, right, the Most High, who sent Christ, gave us instructions on how to deal when we will be, in the diaspora or before the deliverance. So I want to read this scripture because I think a lot of these guys, they don't understand the much larger picture. They're so, I'm referring to the much larger Israelite community, that they so elated sometimes when they're getting some coverage in television, right? It's almost, it's an excitement. It's like a stripe on their works, and they'll start talking about, now's the time of deliverance coming, closer, because look, now they're talking about Hebrew Israelite. They know about you. They got dossier about you. And all those things are somewhat true. However, though, I think they're more concerned with getting some attention rather than focusing on getting the right attention. And I want to read this scripture. It's in 1 Peter's the second chapter, the 12th verse, right?
Okay.
And this is Peter's instruction and giving the instruction to the followers of the church, right?
All right.
It says, and so I'm in verse 12, it says, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall be held, glorify God in the day of visitation. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be the king as supreme, or unto governors as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the prize of them that will do well. So I'm saying this, right, in I read 15. For so as the will of God, that which will doing ye will put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. So this is what Christ was telling his disciples through the mouth of Peter.
Gabar, because I know what people are thinking, and I know sometimes we have Christians who listen to this, so I must edify.
Yes,
we
sir.
must edify there, because you will have some people come through and say, okay, you follow the ordinances of the king. Well, the king said that you should get the vaccination. Right. So I want or you should get a medical procedure, or whatever the case is. So some people will ask, well, if you're going to respect the ordinance of the king, then you should go ahead and get the stuff. Right. But then my answer to that is, well, hold up. Christ also said, you render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and you render under God what is God's, which means I can't follow a mandate or a decree from a king that forces me to break what? Listen to me clearly, my lawful obligation to the God I serve. So that's where the line is put. The Most High is the line. So yes, I must fall to the obedience of the king, to not try to cause some type of insurrection or coup or something that would try to fight against. You can't do none of that. Fight against government, that's against the Bible. But what we can't do, because I know Christians use that scripture, you can't break the laws of God following the king. Okay? That's when the line is drawn. That's when we render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Okay? As long as it's not breaking the laws that I have in commitment to my God. Render unto God what is God's. So if you're telling me to put some stuff in my body that's against the laws in the Bible, now I don't have to listen to that. Okay? I just wanted to put that out there because I know people will use that scripture, Elder Gabar. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And you read my mind, because I also want to emphasize that, Romans 13, I believe, when the Christians, I think that's the main scripture they use to submit to the powers that be.
Yeah.
They use that as an excuse to follow the government. But when you read Peter's writing here, right? Because before 12, he reads, verse 11 reads as follows. It says, dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evil doers, they may by your works, good works, which they shall be held, glorify God in the day of visitation. Submit yourself to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake. So when you read here, Peter is referring to, because he started that, let your conversation be honest among the Gentiles, right?
Yep.
So in the proper context that Peter's talking about here is that when you go into, a country or a village or a town or a neighborhood that they know you are a follower of Christ. You have to make sure that your reputation with the Gentiles is honest.
Exactly.
And so this is not talking about submission, because a lot of Christians, like you mentioned, Elder, talks about, this means submit to everything that the government says. That's not what Paul or Peter said, because the same Peter was the one who got arrested in Acts chapter 5, verse 21, when they told him, "Did not we tell you not to preach under this man's name?" And Peter responds and says, "We ought to obey God rather than man."
Exactly.
So I just want, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you. I know you had a train of thought. I want to say this in the midst of that when you were dropping that. It's like having respect for someone's house. When you go into a village back in the day, you had chiefs and all that. There were house rules, or there was village rules, and as long as those village rules were respected, hospitality stayed extended. You can't be you can't be in a chief's community and you go through and breaking all the rules, of the village. And next thing you know, you hopping in TPs and you doing, hold up, dude. See, now you're not respecting the ordinance of that particular area or that jurisdiction. That means you must go in and be where you fit in. You can't go in to try to come through now, and now you're going to topple the established town that people built with their blood, sweat, and tears. And that's what it's talking about when it's talking about the authority. You go into an area, you find out who the chief is, and they're hospitable, and he'll sit down with you and say, "How you doing? Da 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 da. You coming through? Well, guess what? Like the sheriff in town. Here's the rules of this town. Yeah. Now, as long as you're willing to follow these rules, you can get a hotel. Okay? But if you decide that you want to break any of these rules, we advise you strongly to pass on through. Get a meal and go right on through." Mm-hmm. Right? But go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm saying that to say this because I want people to pay attention of this particular verse when it says, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers.
Yeah.
So you notice that Peter's already expecting that the Christians are going to be spoken against as evildoers.
Yes.
Right? Because by being a true follower of Christ, anytime you go into a town, village, country, whatever it may be, society that is not Christian, by you being a Christian, a follower of Christ, they're going to speak evil against you because you have a different culture standard than anybody else.
Yeah.
So they're going to speak evil against you.
Yeah.
You can't help that, right? That's part of being a Christian, right? Being outside the box. So I'm saying that to say this is that they're already going to speak evil against us. But let it be because we're standing on the principle of the Most High in Christ, not on some vengeful, what I consider, it's almost like a religion on its own, meaning victimization and constantly remembering and reminding people of how racist this country is. And I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying that it should not be addressed. And yes, there are racist people out there.
Yeah.
But it has become a religion with our community, and that's what we focus on. And it has become a situation that the enemy now is using those talking points to speak evil against us.
Okay, so
they're gonna speak evil.
Yeah, so
but let it be for the gospel, not because of some.
Exactly. What you're saying is, it's one thing to be demonized for righteousness' sake. It's another thing when you're giving them the fuel against you that's outside of the parameters of the gospel. Like, for instance, and I'm glad you said that. How many times we said for years, if you're going to be on the corner, which is grace, and you're getting the liberty to do so, why not be respectful on the corners? Why you have to use that opportunity to call people, to curse your own people, to call sisters out of their names and calling them everything but the daughter of God? Why would you use this as a bully pulpit to curse white people out and say certain things of what you're going to do to their family when Christ give you the opportunity? That's out of bounds. So I think that's the piece where they can now utilize and say, to make people believe that if they did execute some level of violence, most people wouldn't be surprised based on what they've witnessed from some of these groups. And seeing that's what they're playing on when it says Israelites have history of violence. Israelites don't got no history of violence, but based on what we've been witnessing of the violence they said is going to happen when Christ give them the power to do so. If someone was to do something with the people who thought that them guys were crazy on the corner, or even me or whatever on the corner, would they be surprised if something happened? Would they be surprised if people believe them, even if the stories are made up? Right? You can't be surprised if people believe them because they were talking about doing all this stuff. So So that point you make is poignant right there, Elder. The fact that you're saying, I don't mind being hated for the truth. Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? That's one thing. But if I called you out of your name, people have to realize words lead to provocation. And if you have the word of God and you got that Bible, there's no need to be out there berating people with the word, because the word cuts alone. See, and that's the piece. I'm glad you brought that out there. I'm sorry about that, but go on.
Yeah, and I want to also end with this as well, because I want to hear you, the callers.
Yeah.
That, like I realized this week that sometimes we get caught up with the game as well. Like I remember when I first heard about this case, they were the right were using this case as they were throwing in the Black Lives Antifa supporter.
Yeah.
I didn't hear yet the Israelite spin yet. So when it first came in, it was more Black Lives supporters crashed, so forth, so on.
Yeah.
And the right media was using that as a thing to get some views, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it in the sense that the most that I probably said about it was like, you see, this is, what your Black Lives members are doing, right? Or supporters, right? But then a day or two later, I heard also they started adding Black Lives, pedophile, Hebrew Israelite, murdering, they started adding all these other titles. And then immediately there was a defense that before I just dismissed this brother as a Black Lives Matter nut job. But then once they threw in the Israelite thing, I got very defensive. He's not with us.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is, and then when you do the background on the words they use, they'll use words like Black Lives Matter supporter, Israelite supporter. And all they need for them to run that story is to see somewhere in your social media 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 days ago, that you gave a thumbs up on a particular video.
Exactly.
You comment on something that somebody else said. And that's why it's extremely important for brothers and sisters that listen to the sound of my voice. Make sure that you try to avoid as much as possible and screen the people that are befriending you in social media, the people that you're befriending as well, and the people that you're communicating or giving any form of thumbs up or thumbs down or any form of like interaction.
Yeah.
Because you may not know the 6 degrees of separation that they could use later on down the line to deem you as a terrorist or a terrorist supporter or an extremist supporter and so forth, so on. So now you don't even have to be part of an organization. You could just be someone who will watch a video frequently. They'll see those algorithms and say, okay, you are so-called whatever. You watch these videos a lot, so that means you support the narrative. So, because they're using this as to try to come against us. So I just want to give you with that be careful who you befriend and who you even, that's why we're very cautious in what we do with these other camps. Because I know these other camps are brazenly talking about they're gonna be hanging out, be hanging white people and all that and killing all nations. They say that every day. That's like Tuesday for them. That's not really a controversial conversation. This is by the way, kind of conversation with them. So they welcome this, right? Yeah. So that's why we in the Gathering Christ Church have to be very careful, because they're using that. They're going to use that against them, and make sure that our conversation is honest among the Gentiles, as Peter, the apostle, mentioned. And I yield with that.
Man, and I'm glad. See, this is why I love these particular conversations, bringing you on, having different perspectives. Because in a nutshell, it draws something, an idea, to put something out there to warn our people concerning the free activity that usually happens online, to warn them that things aren't as innocent as your intentions out there, saying, well, I want to be a part of this conference group, or someone pulled me into a chat group. Folks, don't you know there's a lot of government operatives and all that starting stuff up and just sitting there listening and just starting up these groups and have people just in them. And you're thinking someone is just calling you in, talking about the Most High and maybe how to do a Mitri tie and what about this law? And you heard what Elder said the other day. But they be creating these groups outside just to ferment something so they can slip someone in to start having conversations with you concerning something that could be criminal. They do this all the time. That's why I tell people, be careful when someone pull you into a group. And not only that, sometimes you get pulled into a group, you forgot about it, you're not even a part of it. But your name is on the list, and now some crazy happens within that list, that group you were pulled into. That's why when people ask me, Elder, can I pull you into this? We talk about this. You can't. No, you can't. Don't pull me into nothing. Even through Skype, they'd be like, yeah, we got this Skype group. Nah, no. Nothing good comes from a lot of people just jumping in and out with no level of guidance. Usually it creates an environment of heresy and destructive behavior. So people got to be careful. You be called into all these little things. And everyone I've heard of, there was some heretic from West Hell, was always the person behind organizing it. Okay, so I'm just putting it out there. This is how they're going to do it, folks. You don't know who's pulling you in these groups. They'll just start off with one guy. And it'll be straight something that media has created to say a lot of these, like, how many people you got in your group this week? I got 20. I got 15. Well, do it every week. Keep on doing it. So be careful. Operating with strangers, because they'll tie you to that fool we just seen on a video a couple of seconds ago. Here it is. You can tell with all the high-tech phones out there, it looks like that thing was shot from one of those some crank video joints in black and white. And a car comes out of nowhere, and then it gets grainy, and people start moving. I'm like, come on, man. Do not buy it. That narrative was created. Do not buy any of it. And then at the end of it, they're going to tie it to an Israelite. So I just thank you, elders. People just have to be careful out there online, because obviously they're using even a sideways tweet or saying that you like something, and then they'll tie it together and say, okay, you are now an accomplice to this person you never knew. And that's how they'll do it. So I'm glad you did that, elders. Let me pull in. Let me go ahead and call in real quick, and I'll bring y'all back, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, 1 second here. And before I do that, since they want to demonize Israelites, I'm going to show brothers and sisters real quick. We're going to show you. We're going to show you what Israelites are. Maybe they'll advertise this type of Israelite. Huh? Let's see if they're going to advertise this as an Israelite. Family, love. And then after that, I'll open up the lines, brothers and sisters. Bishop Amath, show you. I don't think they're going to show this as an Israelite.
Yes.
Family.
You're my queen. Come get your crown. Girl, you know you deserve it. Just say I do. Oh, no. It's about to go down. Yeah, girl. You know I'm down. Girl, you know you were made right for me. And I'm gonna love you righteously. To death do us part. Oh, we just sleep I vow. Yeah. But talk is cheap. I can show you better than I can tell you.
That's right.
Your love so sweet. Yeah, yeah. I can show you better than I can tell you. Your love so sweet.
What about those Israelites? Synagogue of Satan?
I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you. Girl, I feel your virtue when you're next to me. Girl, I know we're vibing when you're next to me. Girl, I'm gonna love you righteously. I vow. Yeah. But talk is cheap. I can show you better than I can tell you. Your love so sweet. Yeah, yeah. I can show you better than I can tell you. Your love so sweet. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you. Let me break that curse. If you listen to me, I'ma put God first. Ahayah. Girl, you know you were made right for me. And I'm gonna love you righteously. To death do us part. Oh, we just sleep I vow. Yeah. But talk is cheap. I can show you better than I can tell you. Your love so sweet. Yeah, yeah. I can show you better than I can tell you. Your love so sweet. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Boy, I know the devil is mad. Like, what can you say? Those are Israelites right there. That's him and his wife. Doing music like regular people. But when it comes to the music where you got people killing people, destructive rap music, gangster rap, and all that, glorifying, selling drugs, harming sisters, objectifying sisters like they're nothing. You don't see the synagogue of Satan through their media demonizing those rappers and all that. Why? You know it should be against the law for some of the activity they're talking about being spewed on mainstream media so our children could hear that. You know that it should be against the law, right? But you'll never hear them demonize that. But there's something wrong with knowing you're Israel. Now, I'm going to ask you all, what's wrong with that picture? All right. I did put the link in the chat for those who want to download and have that yourself. I spoke to Bishop Amath. I told him I was going to let everyone hear it today. That's an Israelite. Okay. All right. Let's open up the calls, brothers and sisters, without any further ado. Without any further ado, let's go to the calls. We have Elder Ramar waiting in the wings. Hold tight, and I'm going to bring you back in, elders. All right?
Okay.
All right.
I really appreciate it, elders. I'm going to bring y'all right in with the blog. So if y'all like the song, y'all can click on the link and go there and download it. I think it's a very, very small, it's something small. It goes towards Bishop Amath. If y'all want to support his music, that's what we have to do. We support one another. All right, hold on. Go ahead, Elder.
Also,
I'm sorry, goodbye.
And also, I want to add also, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Okay, we're trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers. He's halfway there, so make sure you subscribe to the Hebrew Soul. Well, that's my co-host, brother, and Bishop Amath.
Okay, yes, and please go to Shoya on YouTube, SHOWYA, and subscribe to that channel, please. Thank you, Elder Gabar, for telling me. All right, we're trying to get that to 1,000 subscribers for that channel, so please support that. Any support for the work goes a long way, and I know you'll support. All right, hold on. Let me bring in the callers. Let me bring in the callers. Boy, I know the devil is upset when they see stuff like that. Why y'all not talking about debauchery and the boss chicks and the WAP and everything else? Hot girl summer and I'll gun you down and all this other. Why don't y'all talk about the good stuff we can utilize to keep your people enslaved? That's good for them. Death, destruction, mayhem. That's good for them.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Okay.
Unmuted.
I'm unmuted here. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I'm unmuted now. Let me go to the calls. All right. All right. All right. Hope you all can hear me. Hear me fine. Okay. Do me a favor, elders. And if you could put your microphones on mute. Let's go down the line. We have Nicole, 414 area code. Sunshine, I see you there because you be on speed dial. I'll bring you in later. All right. I hope you got your stuff written down, your copious notes taken. 414 area code.
Good evening, elders. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nicole. How are you? The floor is yours.
All right. So I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, and I just wanted to say that this character who they're saying so-called hit these people in Waukesha,
yeah,
that person has never been in Milwaukee. I've investigated, and this is a character from Nevada. They don't have any connections to Milwaukee at all.
Look at that.
And
good research.
It's almost as if I'm 100% sure. So it's almost as if they're just like maybe using deceased people profiles, or maybe getting these people from prison and then shipping them and just having them lined up for the next event that they want to stage. And I also believe that the Ahmaud Arbery case is not real, because I found a video on social media where some years before the so-called murder, he was doing a skit with the police where he had on props. He had on a female winter coat in hot Georgia in the summer, and they were pretending like he's being harassed on body cam footage by the cop. And then the cop fake tased him, and then he doesn't even say ow or go down to the ground. And then the video's over.
Yeah.
And with the whole thing,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
With the whole thing in Kenosha with the Kyle Rittenhouse, that was so fake. I just laughed at that whole story. And then one of the people was supposed to be shot in the head on the video. He's saying, ow, and putting his hand over. Then the girl's like, let me see it. I'm like, first of all, if somebody got shot with that kind of rifle, their brains would be splattered out and they would not be saying ow. And it's just sad, how many people believe all of these stories. People just believe in this stuff.
Well, you can tell. I'm glad you're bringing out the fact that there are canned, scripted news stories made for the public. A lot of people don't know about crisis actors. They don't know that under the actual Pentagon, there's a department of propaganda. That's a part of the Pentagon. Like there's a certain number of pieces, movies, and all that must be put out every year, including news stories that's strictly for the propaganda. So a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know about drills. So Hollywood, when they're casting, they're not just casting for movies. Sometimes they cast for commercials, and if you're good in that, they'll say, well, okay, we have this drill we would like you to be a part of as a crisis actor. And they'll tell you it's just practicing what would happen if under any event. Actors are paid for that. A lot of people don't know about that. So a lot of pictures and a lot of the things where you see the lights, the police lights going and all that. Some of that stuff be from straight drills they have footage from, and they'll just show it and start narrating a story in front of it. Like you said, no one know of these people, but they'll create a story from the news cycles, from the news departments. They'll create a story and pay someone as this caricature. Okay, so I'm glad you know about it. It's called crisis actors. It's going to be hard to nail them down now with the advent of mass now. So it used to be a time where people on YouTube was busting these guys because they would use the same actors for every event. So they were doing facial matches and say, well, this person was in that drill and they was in this drill. They was here. And you moving this person in every city. So it was one point where people were busting them online, sister, was showing an actress here and she would show up somewhere else and they would pull up her actress page. So now under the advent of mass, it's going to be real hard to try to do it now because now they can cover themselves. But go on.
Yeah, and then there was another video that I saw where some dudes pretend like the car was getting shot at by the cops. You don't see no bullet holes or anything on this car, and they said that the cop killed the person in the back seat by shooting him in the chest, but you don't see any bullets on the back windshield. And sometimes I'm starting to think like maybe some of these actors are maybe people who committed unrelated real crimes, and then they say, hey, we'll let you off if you agree to act and pretend like you're getting shot or do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And guess what? Hey, listen, none of this surprised me. There's no depth. There's no depth they won't stoop to. Okay, to continue their disruptive behaviors and dividing the world. So all
And
I
I got one final point.
Go ahead.
One final point. There was a Caucasian guy from Canada page. He did a video about the Waukesha thing, and when he showed the person driving in the red van, it was a white person, and then somebody in the comments was like, "Hey, take that down. That's not the correct person. That's fake footage." And then he was like, "Oh, that picture I had up earlier, get that out of your mind. That's not the person." And then he put a black person as the criminal for the thumbnail. I was like, "Oh my goodness." And it wasn't even the same guy who they ended up saying it was. He used a dark-skinned guy for his thumbnail. And then there was another. It was a tweet that they used from the Daryl guy. And one out of all of the racist comments and people who believed it, was one white person who didn't believe it. He felt like this was fake, and he felt like the Kenosha thing was rigged. And so I was getting ready to comment and say it's about time somebody sound rational. No sooner as I could get ready to type, it had the comment vanished. So they have people actively working at these platforms, deleting the rational comments, and keeping up all of the race baiting comments.
Yeah. And some people might ask, sister, and I'm going to give you the last word, why would they go through great lengths? Well, keep in mind, in order for you to have some similitude or some power and control over a population of over 3 million people, the majority of that control must be psychological. You have to be able to divide the citizens of any country so that they don't think to come together. And they do that through psychological warfare. So a lot of these stories is to cause arguments and friction amongst the population so that they can take a political side. That's how you stop people from coming together, because one person believed this side of the story and the other people believe the other side. They're in the same house, but have different ideas and will actually, folks, fight each other on these particular generated stances that were given to them. So it's psychological warfare. That's why I say, listen, the best thing to do is get into this Bible, read this truth. The reality is what you see before you. Don't believe anything you see on TV outside of what you see real time. If you fall for any of it, you'll fall for all of it. Okay? It's called, that's right. And when you get a chance, and thank you, sister, I'm going to place you on hold. You got one last word, and then I'm going to place you on hold. Go on.
Yeah, but I think that where it's in Jeremiah said that Babylon could have been healed, but it's not going to be.
Yeah.
I think that was talking about how this country actually had a chance to actually have some normalcy, but they're not going to, because they keep falling for the psychological games.
Yeah.
And eventually this country is just going to be eroded, as you know, and it's going to come under the one world government, because this is really the only country that has some sort of freedom. But they're going to make America, they're going to level it down to this kind of how the European countries are, how the people don't have any Second Amendment rights or, any power, and they just get pushed around.
Yeah.
Like how they're doing in Australia. They want that to be the way, they want that to happen over here.
You're right. Well, thank you, sister. Great call. You always bring some insightful information. So I'm gonna place you on hold. Thank you for that. And the other thing, hey, folks, a lot of y'all don't. There's a movie that was out years ago called Wag the Dog. Y'all need to see that. It's called Wag the Dog, where outright they shape public perception politically through the media. It's Wag the Dog. If they want a war, they know exactly what to tell people to get the population to back a war. Even though before the news said it, don't forget, folks, before the news said it, war wasn't even in none of your minds. But they know exactly what to say to make you say, yeah, man, we need to go deal with that. Another example is before America got into the war with Germany. Do y'all know Germany and America was allies? Did y'all know Germany and America were allies before America got in the war? Right? In World War II. Did y'all know that? Like all of the ingenuity, the engineering, the science, they were like this, blood brothers. Germany and America went hand in hand until Great Britain said, well, listen, they was about to cross over. Russia was about to cross over. And they were like, listen, if America help us with this and come into the war, we'll work to make sure that we'll give Israel or a Jewish state to Israel if y'all help me in this war. Did y'all know about that? So the media started demonizing Hitler in cartoons and all that. And now America started feeling a certain type of way about Germany when a week beforehand, before they were pulled into the war, Germans and America were hand in hand. That's the power of media. So that's why. Would you say, Elder Gabar?
I was. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna bring you in.
Okay. I thought I was muted, but I just wanted to make
no, you here?
Make sure. Okay. Yeah. You're absolutely right, because and not only before the war they were cozy with Germany, but after the war they secretly shipped out and fly out all the Hitler's top scientists.
Yes.
And engineers.
Project Paperclip. It was called Project Paperclip. Yeah.
So all of that was just a business opportunity to go to war and set up a Zionist sympathy boogeyman.
Yeah.
Not to say that Hitler was not a crazy person, but sometimes they use any time there's a crazy person or someone who's out there, they could say, okay, how can we use this guy for our benefit?
Exactly.
So that's exactly what happened.
Well, thank you, Elder. Great points. Great points. Yeah. But see, they're banking on people becoming sheeple. That's why I don't care about the Rittenhouse garbage. Because let me tell you, anytime they put a camera to let everyone see every day, you know it's canned. You know it's politically driven. Here it is during the R. Kelly trial. That's what I wanted to see personally. If we're going to show me a trial, let me hear what the defense is saying. It's out and the offensive saying instead of the leaked information that they're putting through the media and cutting off what the other side is actually bringing forth. Only thing I seen was composites looking like B.B. King. Pictures of somebody who I thought looked like R. Kelly. So when you see drawings and they're not giving you the real story, like there's no cameras inside the courthouse, that's when you know they're trying to hide something, when they're showing you a sketch. Well, why do you show me a sketch for the Rittenhouse trial? Where was the sketches at? So folks, y'all need to start realizing when they're trying to hide certain things, or when something is politically driven. They want you to see it. They want to incinerate you. 310 area code. Lynn has a comment. How you doing, Lynn?
Hi. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Elder?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahayah. Floor is yours.
Amen. Yes, I just had a comment regarding the reporter that was telling the story regarding the man that ran through the Christmas parade.
Yeah.
This reporter I am familiar with, Edward Sauls. Years ago, when I considered myself a quote-unquote Christian, I used to listen to True News. It's like it used to be a radio station. I think it's a podcast. And the founder is Rick Wiles, that used to be with TBN, the network. Edward Saul used to be one of his reporters. And now, as a black person, he used to infuriate me because whenever he would relay a story regarding like a black pastor or anyone who was black, you could hear the anti-black sentiment in his voice. And sometimes Rick Wiles would actually have to redirect him or correct him because Rick, in his professional, I guess you would say his professional life, he used to be a pastor. had a lot of black pastor friends. And so you could kind of hear like Rick would let him speak and then he would redirect him. But this guy, at least in my opinion, is a vehement racist regarding black people. So this story was probably like hitting the jackpot for him, where he could feel all of his hatred into one story regarding blacks. I just wanted to relay that because he has a history of doing that.
Okay, so are you saying this Edward Saul is black?
No, he's not black. He's Canadian. He's a Canadian man that used to be a reporter with True News. And I think True News may still be around. I don't listen to it anymore, of course, because, you know, my truth has changed. But they used to have a radio station and a podcast. But what I was saying that whenever he would relay or report a story,
it was something negative
maybe,
against blacks.
Exactly. Exactly. If it was, you know, regarding a black subject or a black personality or person, it was always, I would say probably, you know, 100% out of 100% of the times, always an anti-black slant. I mean, it was just apparent that he did not like black people.
I'm glad you pulled, sister. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm so glad. We have so many different people who come in from different walks of life with key information. I'm pulling it up right now. True News, TREUNEWS. Yeah, I'm gonna look this shield up because I'm gonna tell you. Usually when they're coming with that sort of rhetoric, there's that type of disdain. You can sniff out some tinge of Zionism someplace. So I'm gonna look up.
You know what? And it's really interesting.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, Elder.
No, I'm listening.
No, Elder. What's really funny too is that I can remember when I would listen because I commuted, and so I would always put them on the radio because their show would be like an hour, and so I would listen like on my way home. They were very in their reporting, and I think Rick Wiles got in trouble for this a couple of times, at least in the way of comments. They were very anti-Semitic in their comments, their views of the state of Israel and the people who live in the country of Israel. So it's really weird. I don't know like what their what their thought was, but I know Rick Wiles had been accused a couple of times of being anti-Semitic. I don't know so much about Edward Saul, but it was a very interesting but strange show.
Okay,
but I believe,
based on my research on his name, it seems as if he's Hungarian. He's Hungarian.
But he came out, but he used to live in Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Or he's from Canada, even though he may be Hungarian in his descent.
Well, hey, you know what? Come to find out, I'm looking him up. The name.
Yeah.
Interested. Hungarian Jewish. Okay.
Isn't
don't worry about it. I'm going to do some more research on this guy since he want to demonize Israelites.
Please do.
I will, Sister Lynn.
Do.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Thank
Good
you, Elder. I just wanted to share that.
Bless you. Talking about in Israelites, they have a history of violence. Where? How can you fix your mouth to say Israelites have a history of violence in a country that's celebrating right now the violence against millions upon millions of North American Indians? 984 area code. That's the hypocrisy of these people. 984 area code.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, Mimi? You have a question?
Yes, so I just have two short questions. The first question is, I'm out here in the North Carolina body. There has been word that you guys will be here in North Carolina for the Feast of Dedication coming this Sabbath with an elder named Hannah. Is that true or?
No, that's not true. We were coming down to the DC area this weekend, but we didn't want to get caught up into that crazy traffic for the beginning of the so-called Thanksgiving weekend type deal. So what we're going to do is the following the end of the Feast of Dedications, when it ends, we're going to end it with the DC body. So next weekend we'll be in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Okay, so he has already taken payment, telling like people that you guys are going to be there this weekend, this Sabbath, at his church in North Carolina.
Well,
I'm not even sure.
Well, listen to me, sister. We're also planning a trip to North Carolina. So maybe that's what that's about. Okay? So we are planning a trip to North Carolina very soon. Very soon we'll be in North Carolina. So maybe that's what that's about. So you don't got to worry about it. Everything is whatever they're doing there. They say it's collecting it there, so that when we get there, things will be good. It's probably for when we come to North Carolina. We're working on that now. So are you going to be there?
Well, they said it was too late for me to pay to come see you. Well, to come see you guys. Like they were saying that I can no longer pay. Like the tickets were all bought out or something like that.
Well, sister, I don't know about no ticket. There's no tickets for me to come to a church. All right. So what I got to do is I have to talk to you offline, because there's no one selling no tickets for me to come and sit down with a congregation. So I don't know where you're getting your information from.
Okay.
All right. So let me write down your name and number. Hold on. This is your number here, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. There's no when I just like I'm going to visit, there's no tickets. I go in there and I sit down, and if the most I give me a word, I encourage the congregation and I leave. So I don't there is no tickets for me to come visit a church that we are all a part of. Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you actually attend the church in North Carolina?
I've had like one time, but every time
No,
they
sister,
get to go
sister,
to a different service.
Sister, listen. When I ask you a question, please don't go someplace else. All right. I'm asking you a question for a reason. All right. Don't give me the extra information. Just give me the information of do you attend the North Carolina congregation? That's a yes or no.
No.
Okay.
There's never a building.
Okay. Thank you. Hold on. Would you like to attend the church?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to call you. We'll call you. I'll have Elder Lawyer who's on the line call you. Okay? And the reason why I have to be direct is because when you tell me that someone might be doing something and you don't even attend the church, and what I do is I don't receive accusations without verification. That's how stuff starts. That's how rumors start that might not be grounded in anything. Okay, you don't attend the church. Who knows if you heard something secondhand, and now you already started off with something that was incorrect, because there's no tickets for no elders.
My mama attends the church.
I understand, but listen, I ask you. Your mama not on the phone. I'm asking you. Did you attend the church? Because you're going to give me stuff secondhand from your mother. So this is why I went into the lesson. You need to see my lesson I did last Sabbath. Because what we do is we talk off without verifying, not realizing that's against the law. That's bearing false witness without understanding how grave that could become. All right. You can't verify something through second person, including your mother. It's wrong. Okay. So I'm going to call you. Okay. And if you want to attend the church, you're more than welcome. And guess what? You don't have to get a ticket to come either. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bless you. And see, I'm glad that call happened, because you see how things develop and be out there in the air. That could be. Suppose she didn't call me and had that idea in her mind, and begin to go on different platforms saying, well, my mother said I had to buy tickets and we raised money for elder to come, and she don't even attend the church. She doesn't even attend the church. So this is some of the behavior that we're used to dealing with. Not blaming anyone, but through the truth of the law, a lot of that stuff that we're used to doing gets corrected with the law of God. Because people can callously just say anything they want without any repercussion in this world right now. And people have become accustomed to communicating like that. So that was a good call. Right? Let's see. It clears up misconceptions and all that. Like if you really want to clear up a misconception, you go yourself. You don't throw some stuff out there that can be accusatory. Chris has a comment, 202 area code.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, how are you?
Yeah. Elder, this all ties in to that academy you just had for us, who was Edom.
Yeah.
It all ties in. And what I was going to say is, when I was back in Baltimore, I stayed there for a little bit. I'm in Georgia now.
Okay.
And what happened was, when they had that riot with the brother that the police had allegedly took out. Well, what happened was the people, the natives that was in Baltimore, they were saying that it was not actually people that was pushing people to do damage to the property that was from Baltimore. And I heard the same thing with St. Louis.
Okay.
So I wanted to see if I could share a scripture. It's First Peter 4, 3 and 4, and it says, "For the time past of our life may suffice us to wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, reveling, banqueting, and abominable adultery, where they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you." And the elder, when I heard that, I was like, man, that sounds similar to what people was running to with the Black Lives Matter. And it's like, reason why I started reading into Peter is because I know last week you was talking about how we must start working on our anger and getting mad so quick. And I said, let me start reading Peter. And I found that, because I read it before, but I found that and I said, let me share it with the Bible.
Well, thank you, brother. And yeah, when you say it sounds like Black Lives Matter, you're absolutely correct, because it's the same people behind all of these events on the left. When it comes to, because they've squeezed all the juice they could out of Black Lives Matter. They've dismantled that, paid all their actors off, and now they've moved on to the next thing. So when you say it sounds like the same thing, it is the same thing. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Rinse and repeat. That's all it is. They do the same thing over and over under different names. And now, like, they're doing this again. They're going to keep doing it. Every other week or every other month, you're going to hear about an Israelite story. It is not going to gain any traction. It's going to go away, and then they're going to come with something else. Let me tell you.
Yes, sir. And I would like to see if I could be connected to the bride, too, in Georgia.
Georgia? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, do me a favor. Your name is Chris.
Yes, sir.
Elder Ramar, I need you to take down Chris's number and text his number to Baruch. All right? So hold on, and Elder Ramar will get your details, all right? Chris, 202 area code, great. And I think, Elder Lawyer, this weekend, this Sunday, we'll be going into the divide between man and woman, correct?
Yes, sir.
I really want to go into that. And I'm going to go into the communication piece of why there's such, I already got scriptures on it, why there's such a chasm in between man and woman in communicating. Okay? And I want to go into that. The Bible tells us about all that. To communicate, forget not. And there's a different, it's like we're speaking two separate languages. And there's a reason for it. And you know what it is? It happened in the Garden of Eden. is called the struggle for power. Okay, and that gets in the way of communication because this is what I'm saying and this is what I want to do, but this is what I'm saying and this is what I want you to do. It could be the same conversation, totally. Two people with the same conversation, totally not understanding one another. And I'm going to go into that. Okay? The battle for control. Okay? And and believe it or not, that segues into how we communicate with each other even when we're not husband and wife. How men communicate with women out there and how women communicate with men out there. It's the same spirit. It doesn't matter whether or not it's husband or wife. There's a demon that's operating, and I'm going to deal with that this coming Sunday. All right, let me go to the next call. And see, and that's why I've learned to, when I communicate, and now, if I'm talking to someone, I won't allow them to talk about something else until they answer my question. Because these are the conversations we have allowed that lead to more dysfunction and chaos. 757 area code. Claudette has a question.
How you doing?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahayah. Claudette, how are you?
Praise the Lord. I'm doing great, sir. I was just calling because it's been a while since I visit my local church. Since August, I drive 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So I don't make it to the church, but on Saturday I lay in my bed all day and turn the church on. When it says live, I turn to the live show.
Praise the
because
Most
I
High.
love the Lord with all my heart and all my soul. And I'm calling to give a comment on the verse, we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Okay.
Being a person who witnessed this on a continuous basis every day, I wrestle against not flesh and blood. But because I found God at 5 years old, when these demon attacks come at me, I can handle it. I give all praises to the Lord. Last night, a man was inches from the back of my car. I have signs on, then I make frequent stops. I have all my flares and flashers. And he just rushed up on me so violently fast. And as he went past me, he was giving me the fingers, but I did not give him any contact. I continued to proceed to my route. And I pray with the Lord all day. I'm listening to the church all day or listening to the music. And, I go in these stores and in these businesses and I'm being attacked by the customer, the cashiers, sometimes the customers. And I know it's wicked attacks.
Claudette, Claudette, hold up, because you're dealing with fluid thought. Everything come to your mind, you're just saying. What is your question?
The wrestle against flesh and blood, how demonic forces is just always around, and you have to pray and put on that suit of armor because you can't go arguing with everyone who jump at you with bad words. So I put on my suit of armor and I pray, and I've been reading on wrestling with the flesh and blood all day, and it felt compelled to call because we're living in our last days, and I see the fall of us. I see the grocery store studies getting lower and lower on foods, and
excuse me,
around.
Claudette. I don't mean to interrupt you because we have a long list of people that I have to get to, right? Under your name, it said you had a question. Do you have a question?
Yes.
What is your question?
Ask a question about wrestling against flesh and blood. I just feel like I'm always being attacked by something that's not human. And last night, this car just rolled up on me out of nowhere and was inches from running into the back of me. And, I pray all day, and I pray for protection from dark forces, but it's like every day something is coming at me, trying to destroy me.
Well, this is what we're
But
gonna do,
'cause-
sister. This is what, because obviously your question is, you want some prayer to help you with what you're battling with. So I got that.
Yes.
I got you. Now I got you. So what city and state do you live in, Claudette?
I live in Newport News, Virginia.
Newport News. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do, Claudette. I'm going to ask Elder Ramar to put down your number, and we're going to get an elder in close proximity to sit and pray with you, okay?
Yes.
All right. Bless you. Just hold on. Make sure you pray in the name of Ahayah, Bahashim Yashaya, Warawak.
Always.
And believe it or not, the whole thing is you cannot operate in the spirit of fear or paranoia. That means what's happening is not on the outside of you. Okay? So first of all, you have to take self-inventory. It's repent any sins or anything you're dealing with, to ask the Most High to forgive you for that.
I work 10, 12 hours a day.
Okay, well that's
always
okay,
in
but
my car.
okay, but listen to what I'm saying though.
Praying. When I come home, I see my shower, my bed.
Okay.
I'm out
All right,
work.
well, Claudette, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put you on hold, and I'm gonna have Elder Ramar, make sure you call her, the 757 area code, put her number down so that we can do prayer for her. But keep in mind, if there's any fear or paranoia going on, okay, that's internal. Because in reality, when you're walking with Christ, the spirits fear you, not the other way around. Okay? So we have to discuss that. All right, we'll talk about that. 919 area code. Asia has a comment about Edward Zoll. This is the first time I've ever heard of the guy.
Yes.
To tell you the truth.
How you doing, Elder?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm calling out of North Carolina, and True News is where I first saw Edward Zoll.
Okay.
And they fired him from that
Good
show recently, I think last year, because he was sent on a report somewhere, and he invited a cameraman who they knew nothing about, the True News people knew nothing about, and come to find out something big happened at the event that he went to. So whenever they got back from the event, Rick Wiles, who's over True News, he sat him down, talked with him, and the next thing I know, he stopped being on the show.
Okay.
I do know that he speaks about like 5 different languages, and a lot of his family is over in England.
Okay.
He was in the military, so I do remember that from watching the show. Another thing about True News, I know I heard another caller call in about True News as well and made some comments. They are pretty. I've been listening to them for probably well over 6 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've been in maybe 6 academies.
Okay.
And you guys, whenever you guys do the current events in the academies, like True News, you guys are on the same exact page. It's crazy sometimes when I'm listening to both of y'all. I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about the same exact thing. So it might be a good news source because they do like world news. But that's pretty much what I call in to say. And I really love you guys, and I enjoy the lessons and the academy. Like I said, it's like my 6th one.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. See, but what I find with these news articles, like guys like that operates, where he's peddling himself as a journalist, you know, on these journalistic streets, and trying to peddle himself like journalists to try to get some type of steam to actually eventually get himself a mainstream job. And if it's willing,
right.
And they'll say whatever they have to say, depending on who they're selling themselves to. Okay, it's a sort of what we find out there, and you can find this out in journalism because it's a very tight knit, closed circle that's out there. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
almost tantamount to synonymous with some level of selling yourself journalistically. So I would say that he's just trying to latch on to something. Obviously, someone say do this story, and he just pulled his car over and said, "Listen, I'll say whatever you want me to say. Give me a few bucks." But outside of that, True News, you have to realize how the enemy works too, sister. The enemy doesn't leave anything to chance. They play both sides. Even if it's giving you true information, like the guy that I've shown earlier. Let me show you under YouTube. This guy right here, the Stu Peters show. Let me show you.
Oh yeah, Stu Peters. That's where.
Yeah.
That's where he popped over to. He started over there now.
Yeah. But this guy's right here is a satanic shield too. So when you see this guy, he was a guy during the whole COVID thing that was actually bringing forth true information that the media wasn't allowing others to talk about. So that's why I say be careful, because when it comes to certain information, he was divulging true information that mainstream was avoiding. He was interviewing doctors and all that. But then he come around after being some type of conspiracy guy, bringing forth the information only to demonize Israelites on the back end of all of it. So that's why you have to watch these guys. They play on both sides, but he's still operating under the spirit of demonic Zionism. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm going to tell you this. If the guy says something that's true, that'll help my people, I'll go and get it from him. Because it's true. But I'll point out when he's the devil playing on both sides of the fence. Okay? Well, thank you, sister.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Elder.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one moment. All right, hold on, sister. I've got to place you on hold. All right, that's who's this? Claudette. I have Claudette already. Dom 313.
How you doing, Elder?
Oh, Dom. Oh, you got a lot of noise behind you, brother. I have to back up off of that one. I'll be back once the noise have subsided, Dom. So get into a safe, silent area. And in the meantime, Sunshine, I'm giving you 2 minutes. So take a deep breath and start reading 2 minutes straight. And then I have to go to the next thing. All right. So get on it. All right. 2 minutes. Ready. Go. All right, Sunshine. We're going to get you in here right now. What's going on here? One moment. Hold on, y'all. I'm dealing with, for some reason, when I hit the button, it takes me somewhere else. Hold on. Hold on. 1 second. Stick with me. Like they're doing a twofer for Cowboys, huh? They had Cowboys and Indians, the Chiefs, this Sunday. Give you a double dose of Cowboys on Thanksgiving too, ain't it? So-called Thanksgiving. We all know the Cowboys won, right? Come on, hold on. For some reason, this is acting up, sister, so I hope I can get you in, Sunshine. There it is. 2 minutes. Shoot, 2 minutes. Let's go. Let's roll it.
Okay, elders, I just wanted to say it's exactly the case. The synagogue stench is undeniable, and there's nothing new under the sun, just like how they waited out the generations until no one was left to prosecute those who smallpox and slaughtered and enslaved the native tribes, such as the Wampanoags. They are following the same script today with the FDA requesting, allegedly, I would say 55 or more years for release of certain data on the appropriateness and
efficacy of the medical procedure. It worked to wait out the death of the Gadites again and again. And the same plans, be it medical or otherwise, are working against the sheep without shepherds, the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yep.
And as well as those Gentiles who live and sojourn amongst us in majority, to lie to us, they had to lie to them and sacrifice them to get to us, which is their goal. And it is so true that the divide and conquer is their steady mantra, that they want to know that the same scenarios of the past are reverberating and repeating in the present, and they hope for the near future, except the focus is not on the northern kingdom anymore. It's on, like you said, it's on Judah, and specifically the demonization and destruction of the Judicists, like you said. But Judah will rise up. The remnants for the racism is well known as our sore spot against the southern kingdom. It's a sore spot against us, the whole southern kingdom. And because it has been drummed into our psyches, Willie lynched into us, and nearly from the womb, we were shaped in iniquity into this Babylonian society. And so they press that sore spot over and over with every drop of the media hat. And everyone can piggyback off of one media hat to the next, from, like you said, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, Trump, the so-called unjabbed, selfish, poor, the R. Kelly saga, and now Daryl Edwards Brooks in a pedophile smear that we full well know is like mainly an action amongst the alphabets, but rallied now rolled onto us. And the list from past to present day in every sector of our life leads on. So our people and others who fall for whatever the media spews will succumb to the sway from right to left and upside down. And after this mass world beta test that the world leaders and conservators now only have collected the data on, they also have taken the serum. They understand that they know who will die from that serum, but they also took data on more of the population who will be compliant again, and compared to those who won't go along with the status quo. And they are further setting the stage, saying that they don't know who will attack in the community, since there is no indicator and it's not clear. So they're really setting the stage with anyone at any time, Gentiles included, but especially the focus is on Judah, who's painted to be something other than the respectable 60s of MLK. And so they make us a summation of like terrorists.
You got to speed it up. You got to speed it up, Sunshine. I gotta go.
Okay. And then, but Christ say they do lie, and they're throwing everything at us. The kitchen's throwing everything at us, and they're failing miserably by throwing everything at us. We can see that they're labeling us as the dregs of society and doing all this divisionism. It's all in this all or nothing attitude. Links back to what Prince Charles said and let loose in his speech, that Satan, though he has trillions at his disposal and all of that above the GDP of the world, they are run out of time. And Christ said that he would shorten their time, and they're all shaking in their boots and laying weak. And so I just wanted to say that it's inevitable that they're going down and in the perpetual losing battle against our power, who is Ahayah. And we just bless the name of Ahayah, for he has given us Christ and the ability to endure to the end with eyes to see in this blessed truth and this blessed church. And that's all I wanted to say,
Thank you,
Elder.
sister.
Aww.
Appreciate it.
Praise the Most High.
Praise the Most High. There goes sunshine. There goes sunshine. She been waiting almost an hour. There's no way there's no way I was gonna overlook her this time. She was the first one in queue, folks. I couldn't do it. All right, she had to come on. All right, 313 area code Dom. Okay, it sounds better. Talk
How
to
you
me,
doing,
Dom.
Elder? This is Dom from the Detroit body.
Hey, how are you, Dom?
Pretty good. So I just connected a couple dots with the Kyle Rittenhouse Black Lives Matter thing.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to know that, I don't know if you know this or not, but the city that Kyle Rittenhouse, the verdict happened in was called Waukesha, Minneapolis. And I don't know how long ago, but you and Elder Lawyer did a Sabbath lesson on the witches of Babylon, where you shared a Black Lives Matter video with the ladies discussing a demon that they worship called Waukesha. So I connected that, and then a couple weeks ago, about a week ago, I seen a story where a guy in the same city that Kyle Rittenhouse got judged, a guy ran over barreled through in his car through a Christmas like a Christmas pageant, and killed 5 people and injured 40 other people. So when I seen all that, I'm like, man, all this is related in some type of satanic ritual, because there's no way that city is named Waukesha and that's the demon that they worship. And this guy did that pageant thing and barreled through all those people. So I just wanted to let you know. I don't know if you discussed that in the lesson today, because I just walked into the conversation, but I just connected those dots a couple of days ago, and I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this, because you're actually connecting that Black Lives Matter piece. And the whole deal is all of these stories are a bunch of bogus lies. But what the population, what we can bank on, is that they're going to utilize these particular pieces as if they're true, and that's the issue. Because when they put these things out there to shape legislation that'll go into law, and that's the problem. So that's the sideways way of them doing it. They go out there, they create these events, they start talking about it, and then it's at the same time someone in the Senate or the Congress is looking to pass a bill talking about the same thing, and eventually it gives the lawmakers full autonomy to turn police and military and the law itself against segments of the population. So that's the problem with that. It doesn't have to be true. As long as it's something that it's a talking point based on a bill that they're going to pass. Now, what we have to look at is whatever bills being passed because of it. Okay? Right. Because now they'll have the legal grounds to now come after, target the population. Exactly. So that's what we have to look at. And so I like to get in front of it and talk about it so that people can realize when they do the research that the majority of these stories are bogus. Okay?
100%.
All right. So
100%.
All right. So
that's really all I wanted to say.
Even when they showed when they showed the Afghanis falling off airplanes, I mean, somebody must. I'm like, you can see that this thing was edited, and I'm like, this stuff is. Do y'all believe that? Is this idiocracy?
Right.
Some Afghanis holding on to the back of airplanes.
We'll believe anything. Anybody who's not woke to the truth of Ahayah and to Christ, they'll believe anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a little noise behind you, so you're right. So I'm glad you brought in that piece, but yeah, it's all witchcraft, it's sorcery, misdirection. We just have to keep our eye on the prize and realize that as long as we follow the laws, follow Christ, and not fall for these canned media pieces, and we have to make sure that these colleges and others don't recruit our children to go out there with that nonsense either. So that's what I'm saying. If the world want to believe that crap, let them be the fall guys in it. Okay, we're not going to your courts. We're not going to your borders. We're not marching. We're not dealing with none of that crap, because we understand that it's stoking a racial divide. And at the end of it, there will be racial tensions that lead to much deaths the way they're engineering it. Okay? And we're just trying to protect our people not to be within those areas when it begins to go, when it goes down. All right? Thank you, brother.
All right. I just want to thank you guys. All praises, Elder.
All right, my brother. I bless you. And great call. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. 561 area code, last call for this evening.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. Were you in earlier or no?
No, I was in. I called in, but
okay,
it's my first time getting on.
Okay, what I'm asking is, did you get a chance to state your comment or question earlier?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
What's your name? The floor is yours.
My name is Harold with the Florida Body.
Okay, go ahead. It's on you.
And yeah, I was told by a wise man when it comes to the mainstream media, whatever they bring out, the first thing you should say is, I don't believe it.
Exactly.
And And because they create all types of psyops, from Sandy Hook to the space shuttle and all of these things they create with these crisis actors, I don't believe any of them.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of nervous here speaking, but
no, you're gonna be nervous. I mean, say what's on your mind. You got a couple of minutes. You got 1 more minute here. Talk to me.
Okay. Here's the thing. The thing for sure is what's going to happen is they're going to, whatever they put out, these psyops, is going to wind up coming back around to the children of Israel, putting us in a negative light. And for a matter of fact, the two things that are going to happen is Satan will not rest until he tries to exterminate the Israelites. And the second matter of fact is the Most High is in control of all of this. So
exactly.
We don't need to fear anything. We don't need to fear them. We don't need to be programmed by everything they're putting on TV. We don't need to believe any of that.
Exactly.
Because they worship the father of lies. So,
well, thank you.
That's all I have to say.
I really
Elder.
appreciate it.
And
okay, and I really appreciate it, brother. And one thing I wanted to point out in all of this, I think one of the greatest errors that our people have made, people who believe in the Bible have made, is when Christians try within society to resolve their issues politically. When Christians entered into politics, when that thing happened with Martin Luther King and it became political, when we supposed to have been listen, if there's a separation between church and state, politicians aren't supposed to do what? They're not supposed to campaign in churches. So one of our biggest mistakes was allowing the wolf into the hen house. That was the biggest mistake. No, it don't roll like that. I couldn't imagine Caesar and Pilate and others, or the government, the governors during of Rome's time, coming into Paul's churches saying, "Listen, I need y'all to vote for me." That was one of the biggest issues when believers became political. That was one of our biggest mistakes, our greatest mistakes, when it was about the right to vote and all this other crap. No, it was about treating our people humane, according to how God said we should be treated. And when it turned political, it was over. And now this is how they're triggering us now. They're triggering us through their political their political theater through the news, and then they're allowed to now go into the church and talk about all these shootings and all this old stuff, so that now they have triggered the whole church of believers to choose political sides one against another. What we must understand is that we don't have a dog in this fight. Okay, we're not dealing with none of that crap. We render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and what is God's, because we'll find ourselves backing something immoral if we do so. If we continue to be triggered politically, like Elder Lawyer pointed out earlier. Here it is. Think about it. Is this the hill you want to die on? Not even knowing these people and what their background is? To go into some type of racial fight, not realizing what the real narrative is? This is not our fight. None of this is our fight. If you want to know what our fight is, let's look at our communities. That's where the real battle is. Bringing back what? Tradition, morality, love amongst one another, getting the witches, warlocks, sorcerers, and demons and drug dealers and killers from amongst us. That's the real fight. Okay? Don't let them, through politics, shape ideas to make you believe the fight is on the outside of what's happening to us. Okay? We need to follow the truth and understand. And since they talking about Thanksgiving and all this other crap, which is really exacerbating or really highlighting their racial colonization and conquering of other people. All in all, I want to say tonight, we do have something to be thankful for, elders. I thank the Most High that he revealed the truth, that our people are the true children of Israel. That's right. We're the children of Israel. And elder, we're back. I'll let you have the last word, and then we'll digress into the evening. Elder Gabar, you there?
Yes, sir.
I just
go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, those questions. I think we covered a lot today. I think we have to always make sure that we think before we act, and especially these days, that goes into even commenting on the subject matter in social media, because it's different when you use commenting something with your family or with your friends. You give an opinion, they know where you're coming from, they know who you are as a person. But millions and tens of millions of people, they may use or view your text or your message, don't know you like that.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
And they may take what you say out of context. So I think, they're using all these connections. And I think they did this deliberately on social media to connect everybody with anybody, that they can always put 6 degrees of separation against for everybody, that if they want to spend, you could be connected to almost any group, racial group or hate group, or because the people that you may not even know, that they are liking somebody who you do not know, and that connection they could use that against us. So I just want to that always we gotta keep our eyes on the prize to make sure that we are always vigilant and alert on the devil's devices. I yield with that.
Well, thank you, Elder, for your presence. You also, Elder Lawyer, I'll be speaking to you all tomorrow. We have a short meeting to go through, and then we'll enjoy our day. Just be careful on that street. I'll tell you, man, it was a madhouse out there. Being out there driving on the highway, it's obviously whatever campaign they was on, obviously it's over, because people are out there driving. It's all types of stuff going on out there, and brothers just have to be vigilant. Sisters have to be vigilant. Keep your eyes wide open. Stay prayed up. Sin not. And watch out. Watch out when you are amongst crowds, because anything can happen. They're setting the stage for brothers who are teaching out there, who are Israelites, to be engaged. Watch out how you're being provoked. And when you're being provoked, someone is trying to provoke you into a violent stance. Make sure when you're cursed, when you're cursed, you respond counterwise with a blessing. Okay, do not be triggered into a provocation. That's why they're setting the stage to try to demonize Israelites, because they know Israelites aren't doing no violence. They're creating these stories. At the end of it, Israelites are going to be enemy number one, because why? Christ was the Israelite that began to set the people free. All right. With that, we're going to say shalom. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. Have a good night, folks. And
all right, shalom.
Shalom. And tomorrow's Pagan Day. Bless you. 1 second. All right, I'm just looking for the music. 1 second. All right, thank you, elders. Here we go. Shalom.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. Ahayah's gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us
at gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Ahayah gatherers Ashar in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar the Mexicans. Ahayah's gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians. Ahayah's gathering Israel. Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel.